Hello and welcome to the Past Play podcast. This is a reflection on every video game ever. I'm Matthew.
And I'm Ben.
And today is our final launch episode. We've done an indie game, The Outer Wilds. We've done an Xbox game, Halo Combat Evolved. Now we're doing a PlayStation game, Shadow of the Colossus.
I was coming into this, review podcast, I suppose. I want to tear this game apart, but upon revision of it, I think I liked it more than I thought I did the other day. It's frustrating at times, but God, is it a beautiful game. How are we planning on doing this one?
Well, we're going to stick with probably the similar format. I think we'll do as we always do, in case you don't know the format, we'll do a quick overview of the game, sort of some spoiler-free thoughts. We'll come back around and do the history of the development of the game, the whole development cycle, how it came to be. Then we'll come back again with full spoilers all the way through the game, detailed walkthrough basically. And then we'll give some scores maybe at the end.
Yeah, I'll think about something.
Yeah.
So, what is Shadow of the Colossus? It's Kill Big Monsters, the game.
Yeah.
Not Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
You've got 16 giant monsters, and the premise of the game is you've got to destroy these monsters in order to save a dead girl?
Yeah. So, you it's very vague at the beginning. You sort of bring this dead girl into some sort of temple thing, and then you're tasked with killing 16 Colossus to try and resurrect her. It's basically, in essence, it's a puzzle game in the skin of an action-adventure game.
Yeah. I wouldn't call them traditional boss fights. It's mainly, like you said, the fight is a puzzle. It's not a battle of, combat prowess or anything. It's, oh man, how do I do this? Oh, okay, I figured it out. Now it's pretty simple.
Yeah, each one is its own little puzzle to be solved, and there's similar mechanics throughout, as in you have to find the weak points on the Colossus and reach them. But there's a different way, especially later on, it becomes quite convoluted into how to actually find these weak points. So it's basically 16 puzzles. And this is where I have to preface what I'm about to say with a couple of caveats. The first one being, I did not play this game in 2005 when it came out.
Yeah, that's we both played the remaster.
Yeah, we both played the remaster, which is mechanically the same. They changed a couple of controls, but the actual gameplay is the same. The visuals look good, but I've seen old visuals and they look
fine.
They look fine for the time. But okay, so for me, having said that I don't know what I'm talking about, I'll now tell you that I was not that impressed with this game. It feels like a game. Okay, so last time we did Halo, and that was a game well beyond its time. Now, this feels like a game well behind its time. In some ways,
I'm inclined to disagree. I feel like for what it did in 2005, this is still a monument. This is one of the biggest PlayStation games. This, God of War, Ratchet and Clank, what else they got? Uncharted, Last of Us. It's up there in the top sort of, if you have a PlayStation, get this game. Like I said, it's frustrating, but only the controls. The controls. There is nothing more frustrating than the controls in Shadow of the Colossus. It's awful. But the game itself is still fun and fine. It's gorgeous, and there's a lot of open world, which I think. Okay,
but is it an open world?
Yeah, that's the other point. This game, more than any other game I can think of right now, is a testament to the fact that games can be an art medium. This is more an art game than a game, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Let me go back to my point and try and justify it a little bit. Now, I had fun playing the game.
Yeah.
It wasn't the best game I've ever played, But the way I'm saying it's behind its time is structurally. So, the plot points of the game are actually all pretty... Like, they're all good plot points, and there's a good story to it. But there's only really 4 plot points. There's, like, 3 cutscenes, and the rest is just gameplay, fill in the blanks yourself, which there's not really many blanks to fill in. No. So, it falls into this category of game that isn't really around as much anymore, which I've decided to call the Super Mario game, which is... So, in Super Mario... You start... It's basically the most basic form of storytelling, right? There's a beginning, Super Mario and Luigi and Peach living happily.
Yep.
There's a complication, Bowser takes Peach.
Yep.
Then there's, like, the game part of it, because you have to play it. So Bowser lays out 10 worlds that you have to progress through to get to the end. And then you do that, and you're finished. There's no progression of the plot.
There's no story progression throughout
and that's what happens in this game.
Yeah.
You arrive... They immediately set out the entire... What you have to do.
Yeah.
You do it, and the game is over. Mm-hmm. So, there's nothing necessarily wrong with that, but it's not a format that's used really anymore. And having played Halo, which came out 4 years before this, it feels to me like it's not a format that was around in 2005 either as much. It wasn't still common. Like, a lot of games do that because... they don't have enough story to make a story. They're like... Because games were games, so you had gameplay, and then you made a loose story to make it mean something.
Yeah.
So this sort of feels like something like that, because there is no real... There's a great story to it, but you don't get that story delivered to you. It's very simple.
Yeah. There's the beginning, like you said. You get your... all your exposition at the start. Well, I guess... kind of spoilers. You lay down the girl... Oh, quick, kill the Colossus. You gotta save the girl, it's the only way. Finish game.
You do it and you finich. Like,
nothing happened. There's nothing that changes by killing each individual Colossus.
No, there is one cutscene in the middle of the game, and it doesn't really tell you very much at all. So, actually, technically there's 2, because which you won't remember it, but it'll be a spoiler if I talk about that cutscene. So, yeah, there's not a huge amount of story, and that's why I said it feels like an antiquated game structurally. In terms of atmosphere, it's a very atmospheric game, and it's a deliberate choice to not have too much stuff going on. Like, this world is massive, but it's also empty.
It's so empty.
There's nothing there. It's just hills, sand, mountains, all these different things. You wander around, and there's no other people there. There's nothing.
Correct me if I'm wrong. There's no other enemies in this game apart... Yeah.
No, there are no enemies apart from the 16 Colossus, which you seek out and find. They're all in their own separate place. So you're not going to encounter anyone along the way. And there is... maybe 5 characters in the game, and one of them is you. One of them is the girl who's dead, so she doesn't have anything to say. One of them is your horse, so he doesn't have anything to say.
Oh, you're counting horse's character?
I'm counting the horse's character. One of them is the voice in the sky that tells you what to do. It's not really a thing either. And the other one is the general man who only comes in the game at the end.
Yeah.
So... I mean, I actually think he talks at the start, but you don't know who he is at the time. So it's like there's no people to interact with. You just go out and you do your thing. And yeah, so that was what I'm trying to get at. And I'm not saying it's necessarily bad, but especially because of this massive open world in which there is nothing there. It feels like, it took me 6 hours to finish this game right on.
6 hours?
Yeah. 5:59 was my in-game game time.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is... it's probably a 4-hour game, really, or less.
You can rush through this real quick.
But if you take out all the wandering from place to place, if you just went like a traditional puzzle game, you went, here's a puzzle, go to the next room, here's a puzzle, go to the next room, this could be like a 3-hour game.
Oh, even less, I'd argue.
Yeah, I mean, it depends how stuck you get.
It's like, okay, level 2, next Colossus, then you'd absolutely smash through this. What lengthens the game is this huge... empty open world, and it's nice, but there's nothing. There's some lizards.
Yeah, I didn't even see any lizards. You can collect lizard tails or something. I didn't even do that.
Like extra stamina.
I didn't even see one. Yeah,
and then there's apples.
I didn't see them either.
You eat the apples, you get more health.
I think they told me the voice in the sky told me to look out for them. Never saw one.
Yeah.
So yeah, where am I going? Yeah, so I saw a lot of I looked at a few reviews and stuff. I've seen some people were like, yeah, the open world, it makes you really think about what you're doing, and it gives you, it's really emotional. And it's like, okay, I get, but the 15th time I ride through an empty valley, it's it's not as emotional.
Boredom's an emotion.
Yeah, I'm not thinking as much about oh man, I'm killing these Colossus, or it's really dramatic. Yeah. There's a limit to that. And
in the fights though, actually in there, spectacular.
When you're in there, they're really good. Now, obviously they wouldn't have looked as good in the original game, but they look amazing in the remake or remaster. Sorry, and I mean, I think I'm sure, based on what I've read, they looked good for the time.
Yeah, that's the thing.
The world was quite innovative for the time, like this big open world, these massive creatures, when it came out. So yeah, the actual gameplay that's there is good. It's just that there's a little bit of looseness to the overall, I guess, plot and structure that sort of is just that fills in time and sort of
In saying that though, I don't think this game would benefit from cutting down any of that. I think if you shrink the world or anything, it's less of a game. It's a worse game. If it is literally just, I gotta go next door, kill the next Colossus, this game is infinitely worse.
Yeah, it puts all the focus on the puzzles, which the puzzles are good. But yeah, there is something to be said about just world building, the fact that there is a world, gives something to the game. But I don't know. As I played it, I just sort of, by the 10th person, I was like, I have to ride all the way across the map again to find this person, and there's nothing around. It's just me riding on my horse.
The controls to find that, because you push a button to hold up your sword or something, which points to the direction of the thing. But then horse controls, I hate that horse.
Yeah.
What's his name? Agro. Agro.
He makes me aggro.
Agro. You yell that every time you want the damn horse.
Yeah.
You never shut up. Is your name Wanda?
Your name is Wanda, yeah. Which they don't tell you in the game. You know the horse's name because he never shuts up about it. But you actually don't know the name of you or the girl. The girl's name is Mono.
Wouldn't have known that.
And you don't know the name of any other characters except you eventually find out the name of the being in the sky.
Yeah.
But in the actual game itself, it's not mentioned. Apparently, it was in the original game manual, these names. So, but obviously, there is no game manual for the remaster.
Those game manuals.
Yeah. So, yeah, the horse. This is a bit of a jump into my history part. Apparently, the horse was designed to not always obey your commands. Because it's a real horse.
Seems like a cop-out.
Yeah, well...
the controls suck because he's a horse.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the idea, is that, he won't always do it. And, I mean, if you try and ride him off a cliff, he won't jump off a cliff. But also, by the same token, you won't walk off a cliff either. Have you jumped off a cliff? I couldn't make him jump off a cliff.
I've
let him jump off small cliffs.
There was one part at the end of the game where he had to make a jump.
Oh, yeah.
And he sucks and didn't make the jump. And then I died, horse died. Goodbye, trophy.
Oh, was there one for not dying? Oh, I died way before that part. I thought I was going alright. I think I made it through half without dying, and then there was some that we'll get onto. They annoyed me so much.
There's some shitty ones, not because they're hard, but because mechanically they're so, I guess, intricate and just convoluted to figure out what you have to do and then executing that.
Yeah, I had trouble with his jumping. Because the idea is almost all of them, pretty much, you have to climb up on them in some way, and because they're massive compared to you, and a lot of the time you'd have to climb and then jump from one part to the other, and trying to jump while you're already hanging I struggle with that. It seemed like he would never actually jump where I was trying to go.
Props to this guy though for being able to do that. This guy's the best grip strength in the whole damn world.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He can hold on pretty well.
He'll drop 10 meters and then just he's fine.
Yeah, he just grabs onto it. Yeah. All right. Well, have you got anything more you want to say before?
I think we can...
With the spoiler freeze?
Oh, I think we... Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll take a little break, and we'll come back, and we'll talk about the history of how this game was made. guys, thanks for listening to the Past Play Gaming podcast. We wanted to take this time to quickly give you some information about where you can find us and our Patreon page. Ben, you've got the info on that.
So on our Patreon page, we have 2 different tiers right now. We've got our $1 tier and our $5 tier. $1 backers will get to vote to determine what games we cover. $5 backers will get to determine the shortlist for this vote, and also see every episode of the Past Play Gaming podcast 1 week before everyone else.
Yeah, and that's at patreon.com/pastplaygaming.
Yeah.
So what you're telling me is that if you're the very first $5 backer, you basically can just tell us what game to review straight up.
That's a really good point. Yeah. So you have all the power. Give us $5.
If you're the only one there for $5, you can just do whatever you want.
You want us to review Fortnite? That's what we're doing.
We'll try.
Give us $5.
Okay, so also we have a YouTube. The YouTube link is a very random complication string of characters, but it will be in the description of this and every other episode. I'm trying to do some stuff semi-regularly over there. So at time of recording, there's nothing up there apart from the trailer. All the podcast episodes will get fed onto there. And so I'm sort of semi-regularly looking to post some stuff up there. So if you want some different sort of maybe newer content on some of the new games that come out and maybe some extra analysis from the podcast, just check that out over there. And you can follow us everywhere: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, at PastPlayGaming or /PastPlayGaming, whatever they have. And with that, we'll let you get back to the episode. So we'll see you then.
See ya.
We are back on the Past Play podcast. Today we are talking about Shadow of the Colossus, and it's time for history, the history of the game, the history of the development. So, Shadow of the Colossus is a PlayStation 2 exclusive title. The original was released in October 2005. It was developed by Team Ico and published by Sony Computer Entertainment for the PlayStation, which I already said. But PlayStation only, that's the idea. Team Ico is called Team Ico because they made a game called Ico.
Yeah.
Which I hadn't heard of before this, but do you know anything about it?
Don't know much about it, apart from this is meant to be like a spiritual successor to Ico.
Yeah.
Couldn't tell you anything about the game, though.
No, from my research of this game, I've discovered that it's like... I think it was about 2001, 2000 time, and it's about like some guy, he's got like horns on his head, and I'm not really sure what he has to do. There's some sort of evil queen or something.
Okay.
That's about all I know about it. So, originally this game was, like, the project name for it was Nico, which is a portmanteau of Ni, which is the Japanese for two, and Ico. So, it was like Ico 2. However, the head designer on both games, Fumito Ueda, he said basically that he never intended it to be a sequel to Ico, but that was just what they called it, like, because it was using similar game mechanics. And there was even an original trailer with like horned guys on horses doing stuff. So, but then he said that was just because they used the model from the character from Ico, just so they didn't have to make someone else.
Yeah.
For this sort of, beta trailer or whatever it was. He never intended it to be a thing, and it's technically rumored to be a prequel. We'll get into why that is at the end of the game in the spoilers, once we've done all that, because it sort of spoils this game and that game, part of it. yeah, it's rumored to be a prequel, but it's a spiritual successor, I guess, in terms of the, I don't know, similar sort of world, but not necessarily the same.
No.
Yeah, that's the idea of it anyway.
I think from memory there is an Ico Easter egg in this game somewhere.
Yes, you can. I
At a
believe
beach or somewhere.
that wasn't what I was thinking. I believe you can get a sword that was, or maybe that's only in the remaster, but you can get a sword that was the main character's sword, I think, or maybe the villain's sword.
Okay.
If you can, I think if you could complete all the time attacks on hard or something,
Oh Christ.
which you never do. But if you did, I think you get some sort of sword replacement skin that's like a throwback to Ico. So yeah, there's not. I couldn't find much on this game really. I mean, just got a lot of random thoughts about it, not necessarily a timeline. So I mean, he was there was a team of 35 that was started on it, and Ueda he was looking at these type of games and he wanted to sort of turn them a little bit on their head. So he had the idea of that in normal games you sort of feel there's this big celebration every time you get a kill on something, and so he sort of wanted to flip that and have you sort of feel reflective about the kills, which you do in this. It's a bit somber. So apparently what happened was he had this idea of this really sad, because when you kill a Colossus, there's really sad music that plays.
Yeah, it's not a celebration.
No. So apparently he showed this to his staff, and they thought it was a bug and laughed about it because they were so used to it. They were so used to it being like a celebration that you killed something. Apparently, Ueda and the lead producer, which was Kenji Kaido, they were very particular about how everything went down. So apparently Ueda would only thought 2 out of 500 applicants for artists met his criteria for this game, because he was that much of a perfectionist.
It paid off, but...
Yeah, I mean it worked, but yeah, it was. I think maybe more than 2 out of 500 would have been qualified. I don't know, I wasn't there, but that was what I'd assume. This one, because I got a lot of this from Wikipedia, full disclaimer. So citation needed on this one. I'm a bit suspicious of this fact, but it said that they wanted the physics engine to be realistic physics, right? So what that meant was that if you wanted the Colossus to be faster, it had to be smaller. Now,
okay,
I'm skeptical of that.
Yeah.
Because I would assume that if you had a realistic physics engine, you could just make the bigger ones. If you want to make them fast, you could just make them stronger.
Yeah.
You give them more force. But I'm not a game developer, but that's what it said.
I don't know if I believe in this realistic physics engine crap.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's particularly, they said he wanted a realistic physics engine in the way that because the Colossus don't like it when you climb on and try and kill them. So they shake around violently, and so the shaking of Wanda as they sort of try and shake you off, the moving around they tried to make that really realistic. But apparently the Colossus also applied to that, and that's where this idea of them. I don't think it would be necessary for them to be smaller. I don't think the engine would limit that.
No, I don't know.
Because surely, like I said, you could just make them stronger, as in they would apply more force to the objects that are their limbs.
Just because they're bigger, I mean...
Because if you had if all the rocks that they're made of are heavier, then you just have to make them apply more force to make them move faster.
I don't think just because there are 2, 3 really
There's not many small ones.
Colossus?
There is 2 that I remember. One, the third one's not very big. But they're not the 2 of them are quite fast. But it's I think that's more of a design choice than it is because it would be a bit OP if the massive.
I was going to say it also makes sense, because if you got this big towering giant thing that's just sprinting around the arena, it'd be dumb. It would be stupid. In big trouble. You'd be screwed. Yeah.
So citation needed on that one, as I said, but I've included it just for discussion purposes, I guess. He wanted the controls. He wanted the controls to be simple. Now the remaster that we played has slightly different controls, but I would argue that the original controls are even worse.
Yeah.
So they swapped jump with what the hell's on triangle? Triangle. They swapped jump was on triangle in the old one, and whatever was on triangle now, get on your horse and like make your horse go was on X, which actually makes a lot of sense for it to be on X, but jump makes so much sense to be on X as well.
Jump on Y. Wait, Y. That's Xbox. Jump on triangle, is it? So
In the old one it was. Right now it's jump on X.
there's another
in the
game
remaster.
that does jump on that. But I mean, there'd be several games.
There's games that do it,
But now, the standard now is
but they flip those.
AX.
What is even on triangle in the game that we played?
It's
I
not.
can't even remember.
It's
It
not
does something.
Call your horse, is it?
It's call your horse, and it's whistle. So apparently, this is something I didn't know about the game. Whistle. I just thought when I whistled it was because I was too far away from my horse, so he would then come to me. Apparently, you can whistle to actually draw the Colossus's attention to you.
I think I knew that.
I just assumed that I was whistling for my horse anyway. Like he was just, I'm fighting a Colossus, and I'm just like, horse, please,
Dumbass horse.
come here. And
Stupid horse.
the thing is, the horse can only make it to 5 out of the 16 areas where you fight the dudes.
Oh, really?
And he's useless in 2 or 3 of them. So he's only he's required in like the other 2 or 3, and the rest, like obviously, he either can't make it or he does make it, but he's pointless. So that's why most of the time I just assumed I was just hoping that my horse would rock up to this place, even though I knew he couldn't physically make it.
Such a stupid horse. I hate this horse with all of my heart, and we'll touch more on. You're not feeling too great.
No, I'm a bit under it today, but
we'll touch more on the horse later. Because
the horse. I mean, I like the horse to a point.
No,
I don't hate the horse.
everyone's entitled to their opinion, but yours is wrong.
Yeah, I mean, okay. I don't hate the horse. So, I can't include that. That's a spoiler. Now this is an interesting one. Actually, there's two bit of trivia, because I haven't got much on this game, so this is where I'm at. I'm at bits of trivia. Number 1, director Guillermo del Toro, who, if you've been following games recently, was actually in...
I love Del Toro.
He was in his... Was it his likeness? And it was just his likeness.
It's just his likeness in
Not
Death
his voice. He was in Death Stranding. Apparently, he called both Ico and this game masterpieces and influences for his directorial work.
Makes sense.
So-
Yeah, that really makes sense.
Yeah. So there you go. And another one that I thought was quite fun is that, I believe, so the game released in North America and Japan first, and then it released in what's called PAL regions, which are like South America, Africa, Australia, all that. And I believe for those regions, Sony actually made fake websites and put links to them that said they claimed that remains looking similar to the Colossi had been found in the world as a form of marketing to try and make people think this game was real or something.
Clever.
So yeah, that was pretty
You'd
fun.
be an idiot to believe it, but it's clever.
Yeah, so they put out marketing material linking you to these websites that would then claim that remains have been found that look like the Colossi.
Oh, there was a giant monkey-looking thing found.
Yeah.
50-foot monkey.
So I mean, that's about all I have. There's not much that I could find about this game easily.
Yeah.
I've got a few more things that will come in as we get into the actual game itself, but yeah, that's about all I've got. So
I think that's fair for a history section.
yeah, so we're gonna do spoilers again in a minute after the break, and similar to the last game, which was Halo, which is 2001. This one has been out for 15 years, but we're still going to do it. But do spoilers for it. But I would say if you haven't played the game, there's 2 reasons not to engage in spoilers here. Number 1, the story, and number 2, each Colossus is like a puzzle to be solved, and we're going to go through all the puzzle solutions here. So it will you won't get the same experience out of it if you then play it later. So yeah, be warned, we're going to do spoilers. So if you are leaving us here, then please, follow us everywhere that we have things to follow.
Subscribe.
Yeah, do all those things. Rate us on whatever you rate podcasts on your platform. If I don't know what we'll be on.
5 stars?
Yeah, obviously that, but what platform?
Yeah.
Can you rate things on Podcast Addict? I don't know, you probably can.
Sure.
Do it if you can. I don't know if we probably won't be when this comes out. We won't be on iTunes or Spotify. We'll be trying, but
We'll figure it out.
Rate us wherever you can find us. And next week not next week. Sorry, this is our last launch episode. So the next episode will be in 2 weeks from when these go out. The first 3 are all going to go out together. 2 weeks' time, we'll be doing another one, and we are going to be doing Firewatch, which is a fun sort of
indie game,
shortish indie game. I think it's available on both Xbox and PlayStation if you're looking for it.
First, arguably.
Yeah, so it's out on, probably on PC as well. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Out on all these platforms, so that one's going to be a bit of fun. We'll if you're leaving us here, then we'll talk to you again then in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. See you then.
Bye.
I'll click if the list is
We are back on the Past Play podcast. We are talking Shadow of the Colossus, and if you missed the last, 3 minutes, this is spoilers now.
If you just skip 3 minutes.
If you skip 3 minutes, turn back now if you don't want spoilers. So, game opens up. Well, okay, so I loaded up this game, and it gives you immediately, before you get to the menu, it gives you, choose your brightness, all this sort of stuff. There's, a few options. Then it starts a cutscene. So I thought, okay, the game has started.
Yeah.
The game is beginning. So there's this dramatic cutscene. There's you're following an eagle flying through, and then wanders on his horse with Mono laid out sort of there as well. They ride up all these rocky areas, jumping stuff. It's raining at some point. You go through this sort of cavern area, and you end up at this massive bridge, which is probably one of the most iconic visuals of the game. This massive bridge. It's got curved supports, and it's just across a massive expanse, really high, quite thin.
It's a tall, long bridge.
It basically covers half the map of the game, because you're pretty close to the middle.
It's almost the upper north down to the center.
You're pretty close to the center in the main shrine area. You're actually a little bit to the north compared to the center, but it's basically half the map, this massive bridge. So you ride in through there, and then the menu started.
Don't they play this cutscene every time you boot up?
Yes, and then in future I found out they just play this cutscene every time. I thought, this is cool. They just gave me the options and then immediately took me into the game.
Yeah.
There was no menu because I figured, well, this is an old game. I mean, maybe there were just no settings. This is the only mode.
Not that old.
No, I mean the original. I'm assuming they were redoing the original.
There's no
faithfully.
Single player, multiplayer.
Yeah, there's no options. You have to play this game mode. So I figured they must just been all right.
Yeah.
Let's go straight into this. But no, I was fooled. It was just the menu.
They do it every time.
It just happens every time you load up the game. So after, calming myself down, the game hadn't actually started yet, I loaded up the game properly. And you basically arrive in the shrine that you were riding towards. You come down, there's these shadow monsters appear near you, and you banish them with your sword. And you there's a conveniently placed sort of sacrificial, I don't know, it's like the top of a coffin, but it's not called that.
It's like a stone bed.
Yeah, it's like a stone, it's like a stone bed, that you would see. I don't even know where you'd see it, but you know what I'm talking about.
I know, yeah.
It's like an altar sort of thing, but it's intended for someone to lay onto.
It's an altar for sleepy people.
Yeah, it's intended for what you're using it for, which is laying people down, which is nice that there's one there for you, because that's what you're doing. So you do that, and it's then that the voice in the sky, so it's the game lets you choose your language for both language and subtitles, but no one speaks English in this game. Even if I chose English,
isn't it just?
But everything is spoken random language, or I assume Japanese maybe, with subtitles.
I'm pretty sure you chose English then.
No, actually, I think it's actually spoken. From my research, I believe it's actually spoken in a fake language.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so you can choose your language, but they don't speak that language. but you also separately choose your subtitle language, which they do use that because everything's subtitles.
Everything's subtitles.
So,
I don't know if...
I mean, make of that what you will.
You say agro.
Agro, that's like the only thing you say.
Would that be different in Japanese?
I don't know. Agro is not even a word. Isn't it someone's name? Wouldn't the proper name always be the same in every language?
Probably, but maybe he's got like a different accent. So
I guess.
I'm not going to try and imitate.
So they got in like 15 different actors to yell out aggro in different language, different accents. I guess
it's all for immersion.
I just thought that was a bit weird that, because I thought I must have got this setting wrong because this dude definitely not speaking English, man. Like, I mean, the light in the sky, he talks like, he's got like two voices over the top of each other.
Yeah, he sounds almost...
And they make no sense.
It's sad that he sounds almost exactly like that.
Yeah. Apparently it's like there's a male and a female voice overlaid.
I think so.
Yeah, so... So I figured maybe he is speaking English, I just can't understand him because of the confusing voice pattern. But no one's speaking English in this game. Alright, so he basically tells you sort of plead to him. I don't think you say anything. Wanda doesn't speak very much. I don't think you say anything, but you clearly plead to him to resurrect this Mono, the woman. Mm-hmm. And he basically says, nah, but if you kill all these Colossi, because there's in the room with you, it's like this massive hall.
Yeah.
There's 16 statues laid 8 and 8 across the sides.
Representing
each Colossus. So he says, you have to destroy the statues. First he says that. And then he says, well, to do that, you have to actually kill the people that represent them out in the world. So he basically then just starts his little pattern of, thy next foe is...
Yeah.
And then... He says thy next foe is ... but the next thing he says never follows on. It's not like a proper sentence. It never follows on as a sentence. He's like, thy next foe is, and then he starts like a little poem.
Oh yeah, that's right. He does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Kill the serpent in the sea. Or something.
Yeah, like thy next foe is, and then it's like, in the darkened cave.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't actually make sense for the grammatically, but whatever. He's not speaking. He's not speaking our language anyway.
He's a disembodied sky voice. He doesn't have to.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like. There's obviously some sort of structural reason that he says thy next foe is every time, like that they had some reason for him making him do that, but then he didn't, he just doesn't follow on with it.
I mean, it's there in case you think you got to make friends with your next, the next Colossus.
The next Colossus is not your enemy. So he basically starts with that by sending you off to find the first guy. He explains to you that you have to hold up your sword to catch the light and points, like you spin around and it points when it the beams sort of are all spread out when they converge into like a single beam.
It's the world's crappiest compass.
Yeah, that's where it is. The problem is because it's based on sun, it doesn't work if you're in a shadow. So if you're like, man, where is this guy again? I've sort of ridden all this way and I don't know where to go. But you're like in a cave.
Yeah.
You have no idea. You can't find him because it's just nothing.
Yeah.
So you head off into the world to take the first Colossus. They teach you how to ride the horse, the horse just irritates me. He's a cool dude, the horse.
No.
I know you don't like the horse.
Him.
But he is annoying. Like, you have to absolutely spam triangle or the dude's just going to stop.
He's useless.
Like, you got to keep him spurred on.
He's the stupidest horse.
I didn't want to be cruel to him to begin with, because I was trying to moderate my triangle pushes, for psychologically know that I wasn't,
Psychologically?
To psychologically know, because it doesn't affect the game, but just to know that I wasn't pushing this horse too hard.
Screw this horse.
If you don't absolutely spam this, he stops. Like, he's had enough.
He's useless.
If you try and turn too much, he just stops. Mm-hmm. He's all over it. So I think I mentioned before that the horse, they say it was designed to not always obey what you told it to do.
It's a damn lie.
Yeah, it's just bad apparently. So you reach they make you ditch your horse when you get near the place, and they teach you how to climb up things. You have to hold the grip button and jump up. It's basic parkour stuff that's in a lot of games these days. I don't think it was that new at the time. I don't know much about it. I assume they've already done this before. And then you find the first one. So the Colossus don't have names. They have unofficial names. They're like Latin type names, but they're not officially. They have no names. So I've come up with little nicknames for them.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them
I'm excited for this.
Oh, don't get too excited. Some of them are okay.
I'll temper my expectations.
Some of them are they're okay. So the first one is just called the one that's the tutorial. That's what I've called it.
Yep.
Because
that's fair.
That's what it is. It's the tutorial.
Descriptive and to the point.
Yeah. Yep. So basically, he's a big dude with sort of a lion head general deal.
Yeah.
They teach you that your sword... So I thought that the sword... You use the same light thing, which you do. You can use the same light thing to highlight weak points.
Yeah.
But you don't have to do that. When you're just holding the sword, you can see the weak points. I thought you can use it, like if you're far away, you could pull up your sword and it would converge as it did on the Colossus to start with, on the weak points on that certain Colossus, but I thought you had to do that to highlight them or you'd never have any idea where they are. Just having your sword out
They
does
just
that.
appear when you get like close too, don't they?
No, when you're on them. If you have your bow, you can't see them.
No.
But if you pull out your sword, they're just there. Like you can just see them glowing for you. So I thought I had to highlight them all first. So like for the first 3 or 4, I was just randomly swinging my sword around trying to find these things because I was thinking,
what the hell's this guy doing?
because I'm like, if I get up here and I don't know where they are, it's not like I can do it. Well, some of them I would stand on their back once I get, because most of them you get up on their back or something. I would stand on their back and just swing my thing around because I thought that I wouldn't be able to see these unless I highlighted them with it first.
Yeah.
But apparently I could have just... Eventually I worked out I could have just done that all along.
Yeah.
Just had to hold the sword. So they basically teach you here a little bit about the idea of chaining things. So this guy has a exposed left ankle sort of area or calf. And no, not calf. Is that calf?
It's
Is
like
calf
his
the lower
heel or
one?
something.
It's not thigh. Yeah, calf is not thigh. Calf.
No,
yeah, well,
yeah,
near his heel,
yeah.
but sort of calf area. You stab him. He like falls down onto his knees. Now, this is the one that's the tutorial, as I said. I messed this up so bad. Right. So he goes down and he puts his hands down on the ground, like, because he's down. And I'm like, I have to climb on his hands. So I leg it over to his hands, grab on. I'm up there. He's swinging me around. There's nowhere to go. You can't get anywhere from his hands. I tried that multiple times until I suddenly realised, wait a second, when he gets down, I can literally just... Well, he's on his knees. I'm already on his leg. I can just climb up his leg.
Yeah.
So I climbed up his leg. He has conveniently placed platforms on his back.
He does. It's very good.
Which
very
so
nice.
you can stand there and... Because when you're hanging on, you have quite low stamina at the start.
Yeah.
Like, it as you defeat each one, it grows bigger and bigger, and you get more and more. But at this point, you have quite low, so you can't hang on for too long, or once you run out, you just fall to the ground. So he... Yeah, you can hide on these platforms on his back and sort of crouch down, and that means you won't get shaken off. And because crouch is also the same button as grab on, if he does manage to dislodge you while you're crouched, you will grab onto the ledge as you fall.
Yeah.
So you'll be fine. So that's one of the key parts of the game, really, is like knowing when to bail out of your attack and get back before he throws you off.
Yeah.
And recover that stamina. So you basically then, once you're on in there, you can just head up to his head, and he's got his main weak point.
And then it's just,
It's just stabbing. Yeah, you basically just...
Stab.
He'll try and shake you off, you hold on for a bit, and then you stab. You can there's sort of a bit of risk and reward to each per one, because the longer you charge up your sword strike, the more damage you'll do. But if he moves while you're doing that too much and interrupts you, you have to start it all again, and your stamina's going down as he shakes you around. And so the stamina is sort of reactive. It's not just like, you're holding on, you're losing stamina. It's like, there's one later on, the bird one later on does like a full barrel roll, and you lose so much stamina when it's upside down because...
That one's fun.
Yeah, because of the way... Obviously, it's a lot harder to just hang onto a bird upside down than it is to just hang onto a bird while you're sitting on it.
Yeah.
So it's good that it reacts in that way. It's not just like a single draining bar that drains at a constant speed. It's based on sort of the violence of the dude. So you stab it in the head. It sort of has, they have like weird glowy sigil things on the weak points, which I sort of mentioned that they have something, but that's what they are.
It's
They're
just
like
some glowing...
It's just a glowing pattern type deal. When you stab them, they have like this weird black misty blood that spurts out in a fine sort of vapor type thing. So this guy goes down. As they go down,
somber music.
Yeah, sad music.
Your developers laugh.
Yeah, the dev team laughed about it. And then they the Colossus itself sort of goes black and into a
that's right.
It turns all black, the skin into a sort of shadow
corrupts,
thing.
and
then these tendrils shoot out and then hit you.
Yeah.
And you sort of go down and pass out, and then you wake up back in the main shrine area, which is the pattern that follows throughout the game. And you wake up in the main shrine area with a little black figure like the one you dispelled earlier standing over you, and for every one you kill, there's one more black figure the next time you go back.
Yeah.
To represent the sort of, ghost
soul,
of the soul of the Colossus that you've killed, sort of crowded around you. So, Yeah, so that immediately they give you a bit of an idea that it's like, this is not necessarily a heroic act.
No.
Like, and you're sort of feeling a bit uneasy about the fact that you basically, like, got attacked and passed out just from winning.
It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it's sort of, it's setting things up that you don't really know what they are, but it does give you a bit of a sense of unease about...
Becomes a fun game trying to outrun the tendrils.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I tried that the first couple of times and I was like, yeah, you can't do this, I'm out. Like, because obviously the first time you're like, oh my god, did I die? Was I not supposed to do it? Was I supposed to leg it? Like, what am I supposed to do here? And then obviously you find out it's fine. So you come back and he sends you off on your next one. I'm not going to run too much through, like, the geography of it, like of actually getting to each one. There's like, there'll be some that I might talk about where I got lost or something, but if I don't say anything, just assume that they're pretty easy to find. You just have to ride for a bit. So
this one's like a hop, skip, and a jump.
This one's not very far either. This is number 2, which I've called Legally Different AT-AT, because that's what it looks like.
It does.
It's basically a living AT-AT. This is one of the ones where you can get there with your horse, but the horse is completely pointless. So there's only 5 that you can reach with your horse. Yeah. And this is one where you get there, but the horse doesn't help you. Because you have to be slow is the general idea, because to beat this guy, he's obviously a lot taller and there's no obvious points that you can get up on his legs. So you've got to, like, stand in his hitting range and he'll, like, rear up to, like, slam on you, and he has little glowing weak points on his feet. Yeah. So you have to use your bow. This is basically the tutorial part 2. Yeah, I would call this, because the first one taught you how to use your sword. This one teaches you how to use your bow. So they rear up, you shoot the feet, and that'll cause him to, like, kneel down again, so you can find a point to get up there. Again, he's got a nice platform on his back, so he's almost like a mimic from Lord of the Rings. In that way. So he's also legally different mimic. That he has, like, a little platforms. So then this also teaches you another crucial thing that you need to know, which is that there can be more than one weak point. So first I found the one on the tail, like on the back of it. So you stab that, and it doesn't go away, but at a certain point, which in this case it's usually, like, spread evenly in an even ratio. So at this point, because there was 2 weak points, once you've done 50% damage, you cannot do more.
It just fades.
So if he's got 51% health left, and you do a fully charged stab, you'll do 1%. Yeah. And then you suddenly work out, well, there must be another one somewhere. So you've got to head to... Most of them have one on their head.
Yeah.
Most of them. So you've got to head to his head then, and now you know that, there could be more than one weak point. I
think that's all.
Yeah, and that's about him.
Tutorial.
That's the end of the tutorial. So, because those 2 are pretty simple. I mean, I wouldn't really call them puzzles.
No, like, they walk you through.
They are a little bit. They basically tell you... I mean, the first one... They tell you how to do it. The second one is quite obvious. You just have to shoot something and you're done. Mm-hmm. The following ones is where it starts to get a bit more complicated. And the third one, I don't want to say it's the one where I first got stuck, but I was stuck for a little while on this one.
This is Hammer Bro?
So, it's technically a sword, I believe, but... So, this is number 3, aka Come On and Slam, and Welcome to the Jam.
Because I shouldn't have gotten excited.
Yeah, you shouldn't have got excited for these. They're not very good. But that's what I've called him. Yeah. So he's really tall. He's got, like, a big sword that he tries to slam at you, and when he does slam it, it gets stuck in the sand. Yeah. So you're like, okay, well, I'll run up this sword while it's stuck in the sand. So you run up there, but you can't make it any further because he's got, like...
He has a wrist guard.
He's got arm and wrist guard. And so there's an option in settings to turn on something called Dorm and Hints, which I didn't know what that was. I assumed it was just like...
Dorm's the name of the demon.
Yeah, it turns out that Dorman's the name of the dude in the sky. Yeah. But at the time, when I had to turn that on, because I assumed that was just like tooltips, like use this button to do this. But what it is if you take too long, he, like, says something to you that's quite vague.
Hey, try making him hit this thing.
Yeah, it's quite vague, but usually you can work out what he's trying to say. Yeah. So he basically tells you in some way that you need to, like, make him hit something harder or something like that.
Instead of making him hit the ground all the time.
Yeah, there's a circular platform.
Yeah,
in the center. So when he hits that,
it breaks.
He doesn't get stuck. It breaks his wrist guard, and so then you can get him stuck in the sand again. Run up the sword, and murder him. He's getting up 2 weak points, one on the head, one on like the belly.
Mm-hmm.
So that one's a bit harder to get to, obviously, because you've got to make sure that you have enough stamina to get there and either finish him or get back if you don't finish him.
Yeah, that's the. This is. I mean, this is the first non-tutorial one.
Yeah, that's the first one you actually have to think about.
Yeah.
So I eventually turned off hints unless I was really like. Because it's sometimes I found, especially in the next couple, that they would give me hints too fast. Like I knew what I was doing, but I just hadn't executed it yet, and he was giving me hints. So I turned off hints a bit later on, and then would only turn them on if I'd been stuck for a while. It's better than looking up a walkthrough, although some I had to look up walkthroughs for later on.
Yes.
So number 4, I've called this one. That's not how physics be, because this dude should not be able to stand.
Which one is this?
He has these tiny, spindly legs that end in
giraffe
points.
Man?
Yeah, he's like a giraffe, but he's got his legs end in like perfect points. This dude should not be able to stand up. He is massive, and he's standing on tiny points.
Logically, he would just sink into the ground.
He should just he should either sink into the ground or just topple over.
die.
Like he must have amazing balance to walk
This
around.
guy's fantastic.
Like he looked so unsteady that my original thought for how to beat him was there's like a little hill thing near him. I just thought, well, if I try and make him stand up on this, he's obviously going to fall over. So,
just blow on him. He'll fall
yeah,
over.
like, if he tries to climb this, he's definitely going to fall over. So, but then he climbed it and he was fine. I was like, well, okay, I guess.
This is one of the crappier mechanics, I think.
Yeah, this one, like, it wasn't that hard to work out because you just walk... So it's basically, there's like a... So you know that there's nothing else in the world, is the thing. Like... He vaguely tells you, I think after the first or second one that you kill, that there's like shrines that you can go to that look like a normal shrine, and all they do is they're like a save, so if you die, you don't have to ride all the way from the start again. Would have been useful in some of the ones where I did die. Some of them I remembered and found a shrine, but like they're not super obvious to see either. No. And stuff like that. And they're like, there is, like, as we mentioned in the non-spoiler bit, there is like collectible... things like lizard tails,
apples, I think,
and apples, and they do stuff for you. But I never found any of them. I mean,
it's just increased stamina.
Yeah.
And increased health.
So when you come around into this sort of valley area, before you even see the Colossus, you find this sort of bunker area that's like it's like symmetrical, as in there's 4 different ways in, and it sort of leads to a little underground part, and then you can get out. And because you know there's nothing really to find, you know it has to be part of the puzzle immediately. So, as I said, once I got him to step up onto that mountain and he didn't fall over on his own accord, I figured, well, I'll just jump in here. And of course, what happens is you jump in there and you come out a different way, and he's lost you. He doesn't know where you are. So he like gets up, bends down, and like looks in upside down. I don't know why I'm doing it physically in real life because that just makes my sound worse.
This game is. It's Chekhov's gun, the video game, in that if you see something, it's gonna factor in later.
Yeah, it's gonna be part
nothing is there just to be there. Like, as you know, design. It's all there because you need this.
Yeah, once you get to a Colossus, like there's just random. There's not even that much random stuff in the world. But like when you're riding through a random forest, you're not like, this forest is going to be part of this boss battle. When you get to the boss battle, everything that's there is designed to be there as part of the boss battle. So you jump in the burrow sort of area, and you just go through and come out a different side. He's sort of bent over to like look for you in the one you went in, and then you can jump on his tail and climb up.
Oh, that's how you did it. Okay, I played peekaboo with him. I made him look in, and then I jumped on his jowls thing.
Yeah. So I saw that was a tip for speedrunning, is to make him jump on his face.
Yeah.
And actually, while I remember it, there is another thing that I saw in the sort of trivia for these is that there's a few, particularly the first and third ones, that do have weapons where you can, if you time it right, you can, when they're shaking you or when they're lifting up their sword, you can sort of jump and it'll throw you up in the air and you'll just land on there without actually having to do the puzzle, which is, of course, another thing because these time attacks are brutal. Like, the time attack on the first guy is like 2.5 minutes.
There's not a lot of room.
There's not many longer than 5 minutes for these time attacks, and I mean, probably the last couple, they're very convoluted. They'd be longer than 5 minutes, but yeah, the time attacks are pretty brutal. So especially on hard, a fair few of them have extra weak points.
Yeah, there's a trophy for the third Colossus to kill him without breaking his wrist guard.
Which you'd have to do the throw for that, so that's sort of a speedrun strategy, jumping on his face or on his head, because that gets you straight to his head.
That's straight there.
Which is where is his only weak point. if you go up the tail as I did, you have to then get him in the neck to make him bend down, so you can, because his head's vertical and there's no climbing surfaces, so you have to get him in the neck. He'll bend over, and then you can run up his neck to get to the head, and then you basically just finish him off.
Yeah, easy.
Easy, yeah. So number 5, which I've nicknamed Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
just because it's topical.
Fair. That's okay. Yeah, topical.
Birds of Prey. This one's, I guess, it's one of the more unique ones. I guess there's only 2 that can fly.
Both the flying ones are so fun.
And, yeah, they're good ones to do. The second flying one irritated me actually, but we'll get to that.
Yeah.
So this one irritated me for a bit as well because I wasn't sure exactly what I had to do. There's sort of like, it's on a full water area with a few little towers and platforms, and so my first thought was, my very first thought was, my God, I am slow at swimming. There's no sprint in this game. Just triangle doesn't make you swim faster, and I'm an idiot, right?
Don't you just swim like an arsehole with your sword?
Yeah, you swim really slow, really slow.
Yeah.
So, first thought was, man, I don't want to swim all this whole way and then find out I was supposed to stay up where I started. So I swim all the way there, and I'm trying to get up on these towers, because I figured, okay, well, I got to get up on one of these towers, because that's the high point, and it's a bird. I'm assuming there'll be some way. But actually, what there is there's groups of 3 in between the towers of little platforms.
Yeah.
And you have to stand on them, and you have to stand on the middle one. And then you have to shoot the bird to taunt it.
And then
he'll like
dive
bomb you across the water, and as he comes through, which is really cool, you sort of jump up and grab, and his sort of shoulder hits you.
Christ, that would knock the wind out of you.
Yeah.
You would...
He just hits you at full pace, and you just jump up and like basically grab the
stone monstrosity, and you're like, alright man, just hit me, that's fine.
Yeah. So then you're on him, and this one is a test of your stamina because he's moving so fast. The wind is just pushing you back all the time, always pushing you towards the tail, which is good to start with because his first weak point is on his tail. So you get down there, you stab him, and then you have to sort of, wind sprint your way back to get behind his head. There's sort of a nice, safe-ish point behind his head where you're sort of in his slipstream a little bit, where you can recover. Then you find out that his other 2 weak points are on the ends of his wings. And the wings have, there's the fur on his shoulder that you first got onto, then there's a gap where it's just rock, and there are a few ledges that you can grab onto, but it's not, as good as fur. And then there's a tiny bit of fur at the end of his wing where you actually have to do the stabbing. So I fell off a couple of times on this bit.
So did I, yeah.
And the problem with that is you then have to swim your way back to a platform again, shoot him again, which is not the easiest thing in the world, to actually hit him with a shot, and then get back up and do it all again. So you get to the end of his wing, and as soon as you stab him once, he does, as I mentioned, he does a full barrel roll, which just drains your stamina like nothing. And if you try and run... you might go, okay, well, I'll try and run back to the middle to get my stamina back. But if he flaps his wing at that time, a lot of the time he glides, so you've got the chance. But if he flaps it, that happens to flap at that time, you're off, you're out.
You're screwed.
Because you don't have time to quickly grab, you're just gone. But eventually, once you do get the 2 points of the wing, he goes down, he crashes into the ocean.
Summer music. You get stabbed by tendrils again.
Yeah. Sometimes I just got completely surprised by the tendrils, because it's you could run if you wanted to, but the camera's still zoomed out or whatever, or on the Colossus, so you're inside the blackness of the Colossus and you don't even know you can play. And so, not that I cared about running away at this point, I'd already worked out that you can't do that.
Yeah.
But it's they give you the opportunity of 5 or 6 seconds of control before they actually launch the tendrils, and you just don't even know it half the time. Alright, number 6, which I've called Gorilla God, because he's a gorilla with a massive white beard.
Yeah, okay.
Look, I'm trying.
Is this a Gorilla Grodd? Is that what you're
I guess. It's both.
Okay.
I guess it's it's both literally he is a gorilla and he looks like God, but also, it's a play on Gorilla Grodd.
You could have called him I'll get back to you on something.
Monkey Jesus.
Yeah, that'll do.
Well, yeah. Either way. So, I enjoyed this one. I thought this was good, decent. Now, I'm not sure if I got here the right way. I literally just, you appear at the top of this area, and there's a whole bit laid out before you, and I was just yeah, I'm just going to fall straight down. Like,
I think that's the point.
I thought there
Fall,
might be
grab,
some way
fall,
around.
grab,
You just
fall,
fall and grab. I
Yeah.
fell most of the way. I don't think I took any damage because you can fall and then just last second grab.
This guy does not.
Dude
give
has
a
good
shit.
grip. He can last second grab, dislocate both shoulders, but he's fine.
Nope, he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's immune.
No, he doesn't.
He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's got good like muscle. I don't know, elasticity or
Props
something.
to this guy. He's a trooper. I'll give him that.
He worked hard. So this guy, he comes down. At first, I tried to fight him, or try and work out what he was doing. Like, I was thinking maybe he had some sort of attack similar to number 3 that sort of you could take advantage of and use to climb or anything like that. But it becomes clear pretty quickly that you can't.
The start of this is just run away, and just hide.
Yeah, well, which is what
plan.
I didn't work out. That's what I'm saying. I was trying to fight him to start with. Then I eventually realised that there is a way to. There's like 3 mini walls that you can climb over. So it's just basically, it's just a race. You jump over, he'll walk straight through the wall. You jump the next one straight through. You do 3 times. And then there's like a little alcove with poles that you can run into. And because it's all covered over, he will then crouch down to be like, oh, where you at?
What a dumbass.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's trying to kill you, so...
Well, you could have just if these guys weren't so dumb, they could kill you so much easier.
Yeah, he could have just swung blindly at the area.
He could have just gone absolutely ham.
I mean, I don't know, they have inconsistent levels of strength. Like, he walked straight through a wall, but if he hit those poles, I bet you they wouldn't have broken. Like, the little poles that you're hiding behind, they wouldn't have broken. And there's others like that, where they can, break in a massive structure, and then they try and hit you when you're hiding behind a rock, and they can't get through. So, yeah, he bends down, of course, exposing his massive beard, and then you leap on and get onto his back and all his area. He has 2 weak points, one on his sort of lower back, which is a bit risky because you're obviously going to lose a lot of stamina. I think I fell off that one once just because of I think I tried to make a break for it to get back to safety, and he sort of jerked at the wrong time and I went flying. So then you have to just redo it all again to get back up there. But yeah, one on the back, one on the head.
It's not tricky. We're not into tricky.
No, these aren't the hard
bosses
ones yet. I
territory
hadn't
yet.
got stuck yet at this point. Well, I almost got stuck on that bird, but
I think
I got there.
I blitzed through the first 5 or 6 or so because I watched a YouTube channel called Couch Up Play through them. So I was like, oh mate, easy, I know what I'm doing here. This isn't even and then
it gets a lot more complicated. Okay. This is a bad one. This is not very good.
I'm at the point where I don't know if I want to hear these.
No, they're not very good. This one I've just called It Came From the Deep.
Is this
not really a reference to anything?
The sea serpent one?
This is the one. This is a sea snake deal.
He's number 7?
This is number 7, yeah.
I thought he was later.
So I played the first 6 in one session in about 2 hours, and then this is my reintroduction. Mm-hmm. This one I got a bit stuck for a little while because he's right. It's similar to the bird one, as in there's just a massive area of water.
Yeah.
But there is one platform there, and I thought this platform must have something to do with something.
This one kicked my ass. It took me
So,
a while to do.
Eventually, after doing nothing for ages, and see, I tried standing on the platform. I tried swimming around the platform because I didn't want to swim out into the water because if it murdered me, because I suddenly died at this point.
Yeah, big spooky stuff.
If it came and ate me, I was like, well, I want to be near this platform so I can get away. But then after I turned on the dormant hints, he basically said, oh, you have to swim on the surface of the water to attract it to you. So I went, okay, well, I better get out there a bit further. And eventually he doesn't actually get out of the water. He just comes near you, and he has lightning spikes on his back, and they throw out a couple of zaps. But then as he goes back down, his tail flips out of the water, and you can quickly grab onto it.
Yeah.
And then this is one that's almost impossible to do in one try because he then starts undulating up and down through the water like a magic carpet or something
Or a sea serpent.
Well, yeah, like a sea serpent. But he was swimming under the water the whole time before. He wasn't above the water at all. So, yeah, he starts sort of rippling, and you have to sort of run while the part you're on's above and grab on again while you go underwater, and then run, and then whatever. And then he has a bunch of weak points, I believe, just on his... on near the lightning steps. So... You stab one, you take out the lightning rod, so that one can't zap you anymore. But, I mean, he only usually zaps once out of his 3 anyway, so you got to get rid of all 3. But eventually, after a point, he will just decide, I'm diving back under the water, so any stamina you have left is immediately gone and you're back to the start.
Restart, do it again.
Yeah. I don't know if there's really a way to avoid... I mean, I did avoid some of the lightning strikes, but not really by any skill of my own. He just seemed to miss.
Yeah, I think he... I don't think he hit me with the lightning strikes much at all. Like, I think I was pretty good. The issue I had with this one was... I was afraid to swim out into the depths, like you said, because, I didn't want to be eaten by this giant sea piece of shit. So, what took me forever was going... Because I was on this platform for so long. Like, okay, I'll wait till he comes up. It's his day. I'll let him do it. But, you have to take initiative with this and bait him.
Yeah, well, that's where the dormant hints actually come in quite useful. That's why I sort of... By this point, I'd made the decision that I would turn them off, but if I was stuck, like, if I'd been stuck for 5-10 minutes, I'd go, okay, I'll turn them on and see what he has to say. And then that might help me. And sometimes it didn't even help me, but most of the time it does. So, number 8, which I've just... I couldn't think of a good name for this one. I mean...
For this one?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you thought the other ones were bad, get ready. I've just called this one The Harder They Fall. I was trying to think of something to do with gas. Or
which one
this is the one that
this?
shoots gas at you, right? It's like a gecko type deal.
Is this the one that climbs on the wall?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's why I've called it The Harder They Fall.
Yeah, okay.
Because I couldn't think of anything better. I was trying to do something with gas, but I couldn't work out what to do.
Yeah, fair.
So you basically come into this one. He's in like a big... It's sort of like a Colosseum, but it's not as big as a Colosseum, and it's just vertical rows. It's got similar architecture to a Colosseum, but it hasn't got seats or anything like that. So he's just sitting down the bottom, basically ignoring you. And you can immediately see this sort of gas coming out of his back sort of area. So I just, went down there to see what's going down. Bad idea. Don't go down there. It's not really... This
is arguably the smallest arena?
Yeah, if you don't count the verticality.
He's one of the smaller Colossi as well.
Yeah, he would... Yeah, if you're going to say... I think he's the third smallest. There's two that are both...
Two that are practically reskins of one another.
Yeah, they're basically the same. Which will come into my names for them. But yeah, this one, he's pretty basic. You just, well, not basic actually. He was quite hard to kill, but he's quite small and sort of.
Yeah.
So if you go down there, he will just gas attack you and sort of swing at you. He's pretty easy to avoid, but the gas, if you get in it, kills you super quick. The way you're supposed to do it, which this one took me a while as well. Actually, I've got a side note for this one because this is the moment. So when we were talking about the game in general earlier, what I was saying about the lack of actual plot. So there's two types of games that I play when I play on my own.
Yep.
There's games where I play and I'm paying attention the whole time. I'm watching the story, everything else. There are other games, which I would put this one in this category, where I'll play the game and I'll listen to YouTube at the same time. I'll listen to a podcast at the same time. Because I know there's not going to be any dialogue.
Yeah.
I know there's not going to be any, thing I miss. If I die, whatever, I'll just, it's probably not because I was listening to a podcast. It's and I've got both sounds, so I can still hear the music and stuff. But this is a game where you don't have to be 100% focused on this the whole time.
No, it's. I think I gave my attention to this game. I'm much the same in that I'll either have, you've got your games you'll play as a group. You've got your sort of idle story games, which, I'd put, well, depending on what I'm doing, that for me is Destiny right now. And then you've got your sort of hard focus, I'm going to pay attention to everything in this game. I would put this game in the hard focus category. Even though nothing happens and there's nothing you would miss by not listening, it still engaged me enough to the point that I didn't want to.
Yeah, sometimes I will feel that man, I could listen to a podcast here, but I'd rather just play the game at this point.
Feel guilty if I don't pay attention.
But this one, it didn't grab me enough that I felt like I was desperate to play it, with full attention.
So this was the turning point, this boss?
This was the time where I sort of first noticed that, I think because the first session of the 6, I definitely didn't listen to any podcasts. This is number 8, so this is only 2 into my second session of playing, and I distinctly remember I was listening to something at this point because I'd just sort of gone, yeah, I mean, there's a bit of thinking to be done, but, you can sort of zone in and out of a podcast if you need to think, well, how am I going to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is just the one that I remember. Because I was on this one for a while because I tried to play it normally. Then I got the hint, and the hint says something about making it climb up the walls.
Yes, yeah.
So what happens is you have to go up high, shoot it, and it'll climb up the wall to get you and start gassing the walls near you. Mm-hmm. But then I was still stuck again, and obviously he's not giving me another hint because he'd given me his hint. Because I thought maybe... Because you can see there's a weak point on its belly.
Yeah.
So when it climbs up on the wall, you can see that weak point. And I thought, okay, well, maybe I can, jump through one of these gaps that's, in the arches of the wall, or maybe I can just stab him straight here, through here, which is not something that you normally can do. But I thought maybe they added that for this. So I was a bit lost there. And then I sort of noticed his legs were glowing, but every time I tried to move around, he would turn and I'd be miss. Yeah. And then he'd gas the area I was in and I'd lose heaps of health and I'd have to run somewhere else because there's only a few openings in the wall area that you can actually shoot out of. And so, I struggled for a while and then this is also the first one I remember looking up on Google how to actually do it. And, it confirmed my suspicions that you had to shoot the legs.
Yeah, number one rule of video games, shoot the glowing point. So, you shoot the glowing point and then... Do you only have to shoot the one leg?
2, I believe.
2, okay. You shoot 2, he stumbles, he falls.
Yeah, you shoot 2 and he just falls down on his back.
Yeah, and then you have to just leg it down, jump on top of him, and just go
ham. It took me 2 goes because the thing is...
I wasn't sure... the one weak point?
He only has the one weak point.
Yeah.
Problem was... I wasn't sure whether I should just absolutely launch myself off the top of this tower and try and land on him because there is fall damage in this game. I think if you landed on him and grabbed him, you wouldn't take any fall damage, but if you miss even slightly, you'd basically die.
Yeah.
But the other problem is, if you walk all the way down, then...
You'll lose a lot of time.
You lose a lot of time and he just recovers and you don't get that much stabbing in. So I think I actually died once because I had to do it a second time and then he gassed me out the second time while I was desperately trying to shoot his legs. So I thought I can stand in this gas for 1 second and shoot his legs and I died. So it took me 2 times, but once I got his legs that first time, it seemed like he would just climb up and immediately his legs were exposed for me. If you make that first shot, the problem is that he sort of, as you move around, he shifts and turns towards you and stuff. But as he first goes up the wall, before he starts turning, you can get that one shot in and then he staggers because he's been hit once and then you can get the easy shot on the second leg. But it just took me ages to get that first one going because he just seemed to be turning around and all this stuff.
But yeah, this is, I guess, the start of the more intricate Colossus. We're in, this one's number 8?
This is number 8. This is the halfway.
We're starting to get to the later half and it becomes all the more challenging from here, I think. Yeah.
So, number 9, which I've called I'm Turtling. Which I think that's from Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That's a thing.
Okay.
That's something. But that is basically what this one is.
Which one's this? This is... Okay.
Yeah, you get why.
Yes. This is the Geysers one.
Yes.
Yeah.
So this one irritated me because you use your sword, you ride there, and there's just a massive chasm where you're trying to go. And you're like, man, I don't know how to get... he won't jump this chasm. This horse is not going to jump this chasm.
Stupid horse.
So you have to... Because all you know is it's in this direction. You're like, well, I know it's there. I can see it. But how do I get there? So you got to go all the way. You can look at the map, but the thing is, where you haven't been, there's even where you have been, if you haven't revealed the Colossus in that area, it's just clouds all over the map. So you have to ride all the way around to get there, which was irritating as one thing. And then, again, I think this is the first one you actually need the horse to a point.
Do you?
Well, I didn't use him that much, but from what I read, it's almost impossible to avoid this guy's shooting attack unless you're on the horse at full speed.
Oh, okay.
So, I just took a bunch of damage as I was doing it.
Yeah.
But I knew him. See, this one I'd accidentally left dormant hints on because from that last one took me so long. I knew immediately that I had to get him under the geysers because I was like, well, these geysers aren't just there for no reason.
Yeah.
So I was on my way, and Dawn was just like, nature will defeat this Colossus. And I'm like, come on, Dorman, chill, man. It's fine. It's only been 2 minutes. I understand. Yeah, so you basically just have to lure him over to where a geyser hole is, and it'll shoot up, And then he sort of like is surfing it
Yeah.
on like he's still not standing on two legs, but his like front's sort of floating. And you've got to shoot his feet that are stable. I think the 2 feet that are left that are sort of sticking up, or maybe the 2 feet that are up in the air. I can't remember.
I think it's the stable ones kind of wobble a bit, and then you have to shoot them. I think, and then he's like, oh my god, and then he fully falls over.
Yeah. Once you shoot the feet, then he falls over and he's turtling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
he's turtling.
As the name would suggest.
As his name would suggest. And so then there's still a little bit of challenge to this one because you've got to get to the edge and prepare for him to flip over. Because you can't hang on the bottom of him, you've got to get on the side. And he'll do his flip, you've got to still hold onto that ledge. But once you're up, pretty easy. You just go to the head for the win, and that's it. There's only one weak point on this guy.
Always the head.
Number
10.
Snakes on a Desert Plain. Plain plain.
That's one of the better ones. I'll give you that. It's better. It's not great.
I was just going to call it Snakes on a Plane, but
yeah,
I had to include the desert part, because it's not obvious it's Plain otherwise. But
it is when you bloody spell it.
When I spell it is, yes. But I put desert in brackets in my own. So for my own quoting ability, like my own. The official name is Snakes on a Plane, but desert was just to clarify.
Okay, well, let's hope it catches on.
Yeah, I think it will. This one also annoyed me.
This one is controls suck.
Yeah, this is just bad controls. This thing.
It's fun, but I think this is where I really started to hate the horse. Like at this point, I did not care about the horse.
Like this one was one where I got tricked into thinking the environment was more than it was. Because there's like 4 poles with a little bit of a safety area around them of rock. And I figured you'd have to run him into one of those poles. But it turns out it has nothing to do with that. So what happens is this dude's like under the sand and he'll like, every now and then he'll come up and he'll chase you. And unless you're on your horse, you get smashed by this dude and lose heaps of health. But on the horse, you can go max speed. And one thing I will say for the horse is if you get to max speed and you pull out your bow, because it took me a while to work out that you had to pull out your bow, because he's got really glowy eyes. Yeah. All of them have glowy eyes. So I was like, are these eyes weak point glowy eyes? And eventually, yes, I worked out they were. But the good thing is if you get your horse speed up, you can just pull out your bow and he will run in a straight line and he won't...
I want to say I knew that.
He won't slow down, so you don't have to keep mashing triangle like you normally do. And yeah, he will just run in a straight line. So you basically got to set it up so you're at one end, and you got to keep your momentum up because you can't go from a standing start because this dude does not have acceleration, this horse. So you got to be like riding around the edge. When the dude pops up, get your horse oriented towards the full length of the place so you have a maximum amount of time.
Yeah.
Pull out the bow, turn, make it quite a difficult shot because this dude's popping in and out under the sand, he's wobbling around, and you've got to hit him with an arrow in the eye.
This one sucks because you have to be a contortionist. Just to be you have to be moving the horse, you have to be rotating the camera to shoot the arrows. You have to then shoot the arrow while aiming at the eye, all while still on this stupid horse.
Yeah, well that's why the horse, if you had to still, like, you don't have to turn the horse if you get it in a straight line across the whole place, and it will keep its speed. Those are the two things that save you enough. So you build up speed, you keep building up speed while you turn, then you pull up the bow, then you got to shoot him. But the shot is so difficult. It took me multiple times to actually hit the dude in the eye. Because just as you think you've got it, he moves and you've hit. Like, even if it would have hit, he sort of ducks a little bit and a bit of sand flies up and sort of covers that area, blocking your arrow. But if you eventually do hit him in the eye, despite the fact he still has one working eye, he just crashes into the wall.
I mean, if someone shot you in the eye, you would...
I'd be like, oh my god, the pain. But if I'm moving it... If I'm in a car driving in what I know is an enclosed space, and I get shot in the eye... not with a bullet, but with an arrow. If I get stabbed in the eye, so I'm not dead. I'd be dead if I got shot in the eye with a bullet.
If someone shoots you in the eye with an arrow, you're dead.
Well, okay. Well, like... If I got stabbed in the eye, but obviously not, like, deep enough, I'd be like, oh, damn, but I'm not going to, like, just ignore the fact that I'm in a car driving at a wall.
You're... Sure.
Look,
we can test this if you want.
I don't really want to get stabbed in the eye. All right. But, yeah, I'm
happy to test this.
I didn't actually think about that until a little late just then, but
yeah, okay.
I'm not complaining. I'm just,
Okay, so yeah, you shoot him. He runs into the wall.
Yeah, you got to quickly get out of dodge as soon as you hit him because
yeah.
you got to turn this horse. And the horse is basically on tank controls, so it doesn't. It's not camera relative. It's direct. It's horse facing relative. So I would every time I would be like, all right, I'm going to veer off left here, but I'd always veer off that way because that's his left. But I mean, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
But I'd always every time I'd get it wrong because I was so focused on getting this shot off that by the time I did, I'd always forget that like, oh, I want to veer off this way, and I would veer off the other way.
Yeah.
So this one again, you've got limited time, just like the last guy. Because he crashes into the wall with his belly explodes, or maybe it's his back. I don't know exactly where his weak point is.
One or the other, yeah.
But you've got to quickly circle your horse around. It's got a massive turning circle because it's moving so fast.
Stupid horse.
Get back over there, get onto the belly, get the stabs in as many as you can. You'll probably have to do it twice, unless you're really good.
I think you have to shoot both the eyes, don't you? I think...
Well, he still has both eyes the second time. It's not like he's only got one.
Okay.
He still has, but he gets both, so he's fine. Like you got to think, man, this guy's got a massive eye. Yeah. You know, me getting stabbed in the eye with a knife, that's one thing. Me getting stabbed in the eye with a toothpick,
it would still hurt.
It would hurt, but I'm not going to be suddenly like, I'll just crash into this wall because I've got a toothpick in my eye. I know it's going to hurt.
I think you are overestimating your resilience, your eye's resilience.
The thing is, though, right? If it started chasing me and I got in the first shot, it's like 20% across the way. It would go the whole. This thing, the game would say it's going to go the whole 80% without looking.
This snake just goes like nuts.
Yeah, but that's that one.
He's a bit easier. Like
once I worked out I didn't have to do anything with the poles, I was alright. But yeah, he's not too bad. It's sort of a different thing that you haven't really used because you don't use the bow that much. I mean, most of the time you're using the bow just to distract people. Yeah. Just be like, oh man, come look at me. This one I actually have to use it for a critical reason, so that's good that they put that in there. Number 11, which I've actually got 3 for this one.
3 names for one. Why?
Well, okay, one of it's not very good.
Okay.
Well, my normal one is Black Panther because he's black and he's a panther.
Okay.
Simple, easy.
Okay.
I've also called Cast Into the Fire, which is just a reference that I throw it in. Okay. And he's also Little Bitch.
Little Bitch is fair. If this is the one I'm thinking of.
So this is the one that's just really scared of fire.
Yeah, is this the one that... Oh, I hated this prick.
Oh, okay, yeah. I've got
Do we hate him for the same reason?
I think so. Now, this dude, he's fast. He's actually only about twice as tall as you, which all the other ones are like, 20, 30 times as tall, more than you. This guy, he's basically shaped like a panther or a tiger. Yeah. And this dude just rams you in the face. And despite his great fitness, his muscle elasticity, Wanda has no intentions of ever getting
Wanda's
up.
Wanda's a stupid pain in the ass.
When he gets hit, he stays down.
You get hard stun-locked by this guy.
Yeah, he knocks you down, you lay down for about 5 seconds, you get up, this dude is immediately charging you again, and you just get stunned. Yeah, you basically get stun-locked. You just get thrown constantly across the map in different directions. There's on the way up here, you have to go up and around and then jump over a pit to get to where the guy is. Yeah. I got stuck in that pit, in a corner, with him just ramming me in the face constantly, and I just had to, you sometimes get a chance to quickly dive before he hits you, and you just have to hope that you don't dive and he follows you, because he's got good tracking as well. He follows you.
Beaten out of me at each of the fire lantern things. I'd be trying to get on that and he just beat the shit out of me again and again.
Yeah, you can sort of get. You can get in and
a little.
I didn't have too much trouble there because you can get in far enough that he sort of can't get to you too much. But the problem that frustrated me about that too was I'd technically already beaten him at that point, but I thought I had something else I had to do. Because what you do is you jump across, he's there, you get hit by him a couple of times, you get really irritated. Yeah. And this was the first time I noticed this thing where he just lays down forever. Wanda just lays down forever if you get hit by something hard. But this becomes a bit of a trend later, throughout the rest of the fights. There's stuff that hits you and you just lay down for 10 seconds.
You give up.
He just plays dead. He's like, maybe they won't shoot me again. Maybe they won't hit me again. Yeah, I don't know. He's got so much fitness in all other aspects.
He's a real mixed bag of a person.
Yeah, when he gets hit, he's just down. And, oh man, it frustrated me. And, okay, so you jump across, there's it's like a small square area with 4 towers with little, not towers, but they're like little towers with braziers on the top. So you climb up one of them. He hits it the first time, and like a flaming, well, not a flaming,
a brand.
A brand comes down, but it's not on fire. So you have to run down, pick it up, which they don't teach you how to pick it up. You have to push R2, which, I mean, that is the grab button.
Makes sense.
But
still annoying.
The thing that they've taught you about the grab button is if you let go of it, you drop it. You know what I mean? So it's like, I grabbed it, I didn't want to let go, but then I was like, well, I have to jump and grab this ledge. So I have to let go and then push it again to grab it. Yeah. But you don't drop it for this in this case. And it's actually, it took me a while to actually work out how to pull my sword back out because I forgot the left and right. Like, not forgot, but I was trying to do it. See,
you don't really.
I'll explain. Okay, so you get up there. So you climb up again with the brand and you light it. Mm-hmm. And then he's a little bitch. Yeah. He's scared.
Oh, no.
You back him off a cliff.
Fire. Yeah, and then he falls down like an arse.
He falls down. His back armor breaks. Mm-hmm. And this is where I had the problem because I eventually got down there, and as soon as I got on his back, he got up. Yeah. And I thought, was I too slow? Because then he starts flailing. He starts flailing around, and you barely get any time. And the thing is, I'm still holding this stick. So I was in the periods where I was right, because you can't stab him with the stick. So the periods where I was okay, I was desperately trying to spam sword button to get him to pull out that sword. Because I knew if I jumped off this dude, he was just going to ram me forever. Yeah. So eventually I basically ran out of stamina because you there's no point where you can recover at this point. Like, I was trying to, like, he's like, shake, 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 shake. You recover for half a second and then he's back again. Yeah. So it's like, you're not going to be able to maintain a good stamina economy here.
The issue is, once you're off too, you can't, it's the same issue as it was up the top because you can't juke this prick. Yeah. He just hits you again and again and again. You can't hide.
The thing is, he's on his back. He took me all the way from the bottom, halfway up the ramp on the way back. And then I ran out, or I was like, yeah, this is not working. Because I still hadn't been able to pull out my sword, because there's not enough time for you to actually pull out your sword before he starts shaking again. And I can't do anything like that. And so I thought, okay, I must have been too slow when I knocked him off. So I jumped off, and this is when he trapped me in the ravine, because he just starts ramming me, and I'm stuck in this tiny ravine, and I'm like, okay, the way out's over there. And I leap for it, and he just slams me into the wall.
I hate him.
And you're down 10 seconds.
This is probably my least favourite Colossus.
Yeah, which... It was one of my least favourite, which is ironic because I think his twin was one of the best ones.
We'll get to that.
Yeah,
we'll get to him. And it's good. But
yeah. So eventually I got him with a fire again. I knocked him off again and nothing different happened. So I thought, well, I don't know. So this time I remember to pull out my sword and get onto his back. And I think I still only didn't finish him off this time because I distinctly remember a point where I got knocked off again. I was getting slammed into the walls in this, like, sandy bit at the bottom. Yeah. And I was just like, I've had enough of this dude. And I ran. There's like a little pool where you come down. Yes, I ran for the water. And he's like surrounded me. And I climbed back up onto the stairs that lead you there. And I was just like, man, what am I going to do?
I did the exact same thing.
I'm like, I've got to run all the way up there again. Yeah. This dude's faster than me. And every time he hits me, I'm down for 5 seconds.
This he sucks. He's the worst one.
I know. And it's like, eventually he'll slam me all the way up the hill. But I don't want to be down for 5 seconds every time he hits me. So, and then, like, I would go to the left and he'd run around because remember, you're the slowest swimmer in world history. So I would start to swim towards the left bank and he'd run around the left bank and be like, oh, I'm ready. So I'd swim towards the other way and he'd run around and I'd be like,
you can't juke this.
So eventually I somehow managed to get out of the water without getting hit immediately. I don't know what. I think he, like, got distracted or he, like, was still, like, in his animation of like, oh man, you're in the water. So I quickly jumped out of the water and legged it. I made it most of the way before I started getting hit. And eventually let myself back up. Knocked him down a third time off the thing with the fire. And then I finally finished this dude off.
Thank God.
Yeah, he is not a fun guy to fight.
This is easily my least favourite Colossus. It's so... There's no difficult mechanic to... Well, getting the firebrand and knocking him off is...
Yeah, I found that so easy, that part. Like,
knowing
easy.
What to do isn't difficult. It's executing it because...
Yeah.
This is one of the ones where it's more of a game than a puzzle because you can't outthink this guy because he's just an asshole and will chase you down and kick your ass.
Yeah, it's just that way that he flailed so fast made me think, well, I don't have time to get a stab off here. Like, I obviously have done something wrong, or I need to get down there faster when he falls down while he's still down. Yeah. But I believe he just automatically gets up when you grab him.
Yeah.
You can't get any stabs off while he's on the ground.
No, he just goes...
You just have to ride him for a bit, get a stab off.
Yeah.
So, number 12. Mm-hmm. This one's an old meme.
Okay.
I've called him, I'm the captain now.
Which one's this?
the one that
Oh,
gets
is this
control.
in the water one? This
Yes.
one's fun. This one's good, and I like this one.
So this one, short note, I got lost on the way here. There's like, you go into a forest, and I didn't realize you have to loop around and go back outside onto the ridge. So there's this forest, and there's just a massive ravine. I was like, well, I can't get across this. First I tried. So I actually tried just jumping in the ravine to see what happened. Like, thought
Okay,
maybe something
yeah.
happened. Because I was pulling out my sword, and it's like, it's definitely over there. It's definitely that way. So I just jumped off and thought maybe I'll get over there.
This
No.
this one's really good. This is
Yeah. Then you get to the water, immediately got swept off the waterfall. Luckily, I'd saved. There was a save point right before the waterfall, a shrine.
I think at this stage I was still good and hadn't died yet.
Yeah, getting swept off the waterfall would have been irritating. Because, if you jump in the water... Because, see, you go up and there's a waterfall with, like, platforms. And first I thought, okay, I'll jump across these platforms. You don't have to do that. You just go around the pole. And then you jump in the water and swim over there. So this dude, like, rises out of the water. And he's massive. He's got, like, a crown with, like, green...
Teeth?
Yeah, they look like teeth, yeah. Xylophone keys, as we come to find out.
Yeah.
And, again, and he shoots, like... laser electric balls, like electric ball shots at you. This one again, I had to look up what to do. I was a little bit stuck because it's like he was just shooting at me and I was like, well, I don't know what to do here. And I like the later mechanic of this. I don't like the first part. The first part, you literally just have to swim around him.
Yeah.
While you swim really slow,
frustrating.
he just keeps turning and turning to try and get in front of you, and you just have to race him around. Eventually, you'll make it, but it's just so frustrating doing like 360 and up to 360 trying to chase this guy's tail.
Yeah.
And eventually you get up onto his back, and the xylophone keys on his head will, like, control his direction. So you can turn him left, you can turn him right, you can make him run forward. And you have to run him forward to, like, these big platforms that are up high in the water. You jump off, he'll shoot at you for a bit, then he'll get annoyed, then he'll, like, rear up and put his legs on the thing and conveniently exposing his, like, underbelly, which has the sigil for you.
These guys are stupid. They're really stupid.
Yeah, I mean, they're so keen to kill you. It's not like you're standing at the back of the platform. He's like, you know what'll help? If I put my legs on the front of the platform, that'll show him.
Just shoot the shit out of you forever. Like,
Yeah. He gets bored. So he puts his legs up on the platform. You stab him. He dies. Yeah. But
This one's
fun
good.
one. I like being in control of him, yeah. Number 13. Snakes are a plane.
That's fine. Yeah, that one's fine. Okay.
It was a two-parter from my previous snake one.
Sure.
This is just a snake that flies around.
This one's really good.
I like it, but I also hated this one.
It's a bit frustrating trying to shoot his little underneath airbag
there's two irritating parts. First one is, yes, you're riding a horse, he's flying around, like, undulating again like the sea snake, but in the air, and he's got like 3 sacks underneath him that you have to shoot that somehow are keeping him up. And you're riding a horse in one direction, you're riding up and down dunes, he's moving up and down. There's sort of the, like, relative physics of you moving one way and it's sort of not moving the exact same way as you. And you have to hit all 3 of these with an arrow, and he's pretty far away too, so, like, you have to really lead them and hope that it's sort of he's floating into the right spot.
It's not an easy shot.
No, and you got to make 3.
Yeah.
And then you do make 3, and he has, like, mini wings at the ends of his thing that are, like, made of stone, and he puts them down, and this is the bit I hated, is having to make the jump while because he's still moving at full speed with his, like, wings sort of trailing in the sand, and you've got your horse, which is not the best, riding up, you're riding up to him and then trying to leap across, and then even once you do leap across, he doesn't put his wings up to make it easy for you straight away.
No.
So you climb all the way up to the top, and then just as you're about to make the jump, he puts his wings up and you fall down again. So I had to climb this dude about 6 times. Then I got up there, and he has, like, I can't call them anything but fins on his back.
Fins.
They're like, they have, like, webbing sort of things, like, or like a,
they're like, flaps.
Flaps, but, like, they, like, have, like, the consistency of fins.
Yeah.
And first time I just walked straight past the first one because I was like, man, I can't see any weak points here. I'm just going to keep going. I guess it's at the end. So I just walked straight past it, and then I walked past the second one, turned around, and like, oh, there's a sigil underneath the thing.
Yeah.
So
gotta go back.
Yeah. Well, so I just stabbed that one because I was like, whatever. So I got that one, and then of course I'd been up there too long. So he dives into the sand, which it's very hard to do that without getting damaged too, because he just dives all the way into the sand, and you got to, like, jump off at the last second to not take damage from that. And then he comes back up and he's got all his sacks back, and you have to do it all again. So I had to get up there 3 times. and it took me forever to do this one.
I think this one took me a while too, but it definitely wasn't as frustrating as like the last one. Oh, not the last one, the stupid Panther dickhead. This one, it's frustrating in that hitting the shots is difficult, but it's one of the more fun Colossi because it's, I don't know, it's a spectacle thing. I think this thing is, this is the biggest Colossus.
Yeah, pretty much. No, the last one.
The last one is bigger? Vertically.
I think so.
I think this one's long as shit, though.
It's pretty long, but I mean, that last one is so tall.
He's a big boy.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We'll get onto him.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, this one is absolutely huge, and it's a lot of fun.
yeah.
Why does he have he has like a needle nose sort of thing?
Yeah.
But yeah, this one's fun, and I think probably my favorite Colossus. If the Panther one is my least favorite, this one would be my absolute favorite.
Yeah, I don't know if I can call it my favorite just because of how frustrated I got with it, but like, just the amount of time it took me, because I knew this is one where it's like the gas guy, it took me a while because I like wasn't sure I was doing the right thing. This one I knew I was doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I just couldn't execute it like with the buttons, and yeah. But yeah, I can't say it's bad. Like it's definitely not as bad as freaking. At least I wasn't spending 5 minutes of game time on the ground, just laying there playing dead. So we've got 3 left. Number 14, which I've called Black Panther 2, aka Killmonger, aka Concussion Test Required.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Well, I mean, that's basically Black Panther 2. It's also Black Panther but angrier, which is Killmonger.
This one's weird.
I love this one. This is almost my favourite.
This one's so linear. And it's so weird to put this, like, towards the end of the game, because it's one of the easier ones to do. It's fun.
I mean, as soon as I saw another Panther guy, I was like, well, this is the end game. Like,
all right, time to turn it off.
time to come back later. Like, this is the end. But yeah, it was actually really fun. So you climb up on these big tall poles, and he will just ram his head into them. And usually it's 2 rams per pole, and then they'll break. And I don't think you have to, but I got a lot of entertainment out of riding them and then jumping. The pole that falls down will form enough height that you can then get onto the next one. But the cool thing to do is to ride the pole you're on down and then leap for the next one and climb your way up, which is great. You go around, there's like 8 or something of these. There's heaps.
Yeah.
Then you get onto like a bigger platform, which really serves almost no purpose. It's just sort of a bit to get around. Like, you can stand up there and he'll ram it, but he won't break.
No.
And then there's one more pole, and then you break through a wall that you came through to start with. Then you have to get up high, and he'll break that, which will fall on him because it's like a ruined floor that's on a second level. That'll fall onto him, breaking his back. And this guy is way easier than the other guy, the other Panther to kill, because you can climb up on something, he'll ram it, get concussed, you jump on, get a few good stabs off, then he'll start his shaking thing that the other guy was doing.
Get off, repeat.
But you can get off and get him to ram something again and get free stabs in.
This one, I like this one. Again, I think it's weird that it's not really challenging, and it feels weird that to put it, after the flying snake thing, and like between whatever the next one is kind of annoying. But yeah, to put this one,
it's so much less complex than the ones around it.
Yeah,
which I mean,
I think it's a good reprieve.
It was a good relief, for me. That was what I liked. It's just sort of fun and cinematic to leap from pole to pole as they go down.
Yeah.
So it's not as much of a challenge. I mean, because I don't know if it would be to everyone, but it became immediately obvious to me that was what I had to do. Like, I mean, I first just climbed up one of these horizontal poles just because I was like, well, he can't kill me up here because I am scared of this dude because of the last one. But it pretty quickly becomes apparent that he's going to ram stuff. Yeah.
This game isn't smart enough for the Colossi to climb. You're safe on a
except for Gecko Man.
Well,
but he can't get to you with his climbing.
Yeah.
All right, second to last. This one I've just called the 1,000-step plan because it takes. There are so many things you have to do with this one, and I got stuck on the first thing. I had to look up the first thing to do with this because it's this massive area. sort of in length. There's sort of, again, similar like Colosseum-y type architecture to the sides, and there's clear stairs that you can see, but you can't reach on the sides of the thing. And this dude comes up, and he is massive. He's sort of another gorilla-y type thing. He has a bit of a club type deal, and he's just huge. And like, you can't do anything to him. He's just sort of he just wanders. He tries to hit you. At one point, I was like, because I left my horse really early in this one and had to walk most of the way. Yeah. And so at one point, I just started calling for the horse and thinking, maybe I need the horse.
Help!
Horse, help! And I actually backtracked all the way to the point where I suddenly went, oh yeah, the horse couldn't get through there. Just to make sure I didn't need the horse. Then I Googled it. And there's like platforms along the sides of the arena that sort of have a lip that hangs off, and you have to stand on one of them. He'll get to near you, and for some reason, because you're close, I guess he won't, because there's a wall, he won't use his club, because he uses his club all the time normally. He won't club, he'll foot stomp. You have to get out of dodge quick or you're going to take damage.
Yep.
He'll foot stomp it, and that'll like raise the platform and like a tilt it like a seesaw.
For you to get up.
And then you can run up and get up. Then once you're up there, you've again got to, he just ignores you then, he just walks off.
Yeah.
So you've got to then shoot him again, attract his attention. You're in another one of these sort of bits with arches and poles along. He'll slam one of them eventually, and that'll knock more bricks down so you can get even higher. Then you've got to get all the way around to this. There's two massive bridges that span the sides.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
So I figured, okay, well, I'll just run over one of these bridges and wait for him to come over and I'll jump. But of course, I didn't, because I'm trying to be semi-honest. I didn't read the walkthrough all the way through. I just read the first step and then played the rest for myself. So I stood in the center of the bridge and I was waiting for him, and he starts rising up, and I'm like, oh, I better get out of here. He's going to hit me. So I ran, and of course he just smashes the entire bridge, and I fall down and have to do it all again from the beginning. Because what you're supposed to do is attract him, leg it back to the edge of the bridge, because it won't break then. He'll break the bridge. And then once the bridge is broken, he does come close enough to you that you can get from the broken tip onto his head.
Yeah.
So, and then once you're on there, that's still not the end. You've got to stab him in the head to get half of him. Then you've got to get him in the arm to make him drop his weapon.
And then it's on his
Then you've
arm.
got to get down onto the ground again, which you don't want to do because you thought, man, I've gone all this way. Then, you have to... Now that he doesn't have his weapon anymore, he can't pick it back up for some reason. He will try and, fist slam you. And so he fist slams, you've got to avoid that. Then you've got to run over quickly while his fist is there and quickly grab onto his hand for... And then he raises you back up and you can finish him off.
This one... I appreciate it for being more complex, and it's the second last Colossus.
I mean, without a walkthrough too,
be.
This would be one where... This is how the game, it's probably, I guess, a weakness of gaming today, is that, people do just like us, just yep, we're stuck, let's look up a walkthrough.
Back, if this
in 2005, people wouldn't have been so inclined, or
they'd be like,
it wouldn't have been as
I'm
possible.
stuck, alright, bye.
And then you come back day after day, and suddenly you work it out, and it's like, oh my god, I've done it. And so that is how this game becomes something that you can do for a long time.
Yeah.
But it's good to have a puzzle this complex, but...
This is the most complicated one.
It just wasn't immediately obvious. I think me falling off the bridge, that's supposed to happen. You're supposed to, you're not supposed to know that he's going to break the bridge. You're supposed to run over there and think, like I did, that you can just jump on from there and he'll break it and you go, oh no, I have to do this all again.
Yeah.
But that very first part where he stomps, he doesn't show any indication of stomping. So it's it's hard to get that first bit. There's no real trigger that would make you think that.
No, there's no giveaway or anything. You know you need to get up on this bit. That's all. Yeah, that's all you've got. So
I mean, I was trying to see if there was some sort of handhold on his club when he was slamming it. Could I grab onto a club like number 3? There's no real precedent that sets up for this sort of seesawing thing.
No.
Okay, last one. Before the last one, speaking of that jump that you missed with your horse,
don't remind me.
Your horse cannon dies here on that jump.
This was satisfaction.
So I tried this. I tried a lot of things here because I didn't think the horse would make that jump because my horse had shown no indications of making any jumps during the game. So I tried running and jumping. I fell in the pit and died. I tried running my horse all the way to the edge and then leaping myself off to launch myself. And you can make that, but because the platform is so unsteady, you can't run across quick enough.
Yeah.
So it breaks and you fall to your death. So you have to run the horse It leaps onto the bridge. You run. It keeps running, and then a cutscene. Cutscenes.
Oh, yeah.
I missed a cutscene. At the end of number 12, which is the one that you get to control with the teeth, you get one of the only mid-game cutscenes, one of two, and that is of, like, a guy called Lord Eamon. You don't know his name's Lord Eamon, but he has some friends, and he has, like, an owl mask, and they ride sort of towards, and they're sort of like, oh, it's getting near, or something, like, we need to get there in time.
Yeah.
And then I believe, Dorman, your Sky Voice warned you about them at that point, and then again before this last Colossus, that someone's coming after you to try and stop you.
Yeah.
So you sort of got a little bit more impetus to run. I mean, obviously there's no actual... You can't...
ticking clock.
There's no actual clock, but, you know, that's given... Finally, there's a change in the in-game situation in terms of the plot. This is the first thing that's happened
This is the actual plot.
Since pre-number 1, Colossus is the first thing that's actually happened in the plot. So, anyway, Horse then launches you at the end and falls to its death.
God, it was satisfying.
Falls to its death, air quotes.
Well...
Don't know how... I mean, we're already deep into the end of the game, but somehow this horse survives. This is a massive ravine. You cannot see the bottom, and somehow this horse survives.
He just comes out with, like, a freaking limp.
He comes back with a limp, he's like, I hurt one leg here.
This horse should be dead.
I guess he just put one leg out and took all the fall on that one leg. It absolutely shattered, but he still had 3, so he's fine.
This horse learned from Wander and got mad grip strength.
Yeah.
He fell and just gripped onto an edge.
Yeah, it dislocated one leg, and then it's like, So, your horse is dead. You've got no way back. You must move on to this final dude. And you climb up this area, and this dude is massive.
He's huge. This dude is... Holy
I've called him the final chapter, obviously. Rings of Fire.
Yeah.
And the Eye of Sauron, because he's sort of, a way...
He's got like a...
He's got the same sort of general shape as the Eye of Sauron.
Yeah.
He's got, like, the same red flamed sort of circular thing. He hasn't got an eye, but he's got, like... he's got, like, flaming bracelets.
Yeah.
That's sort of the same sort of fire. So... This is like if the Eye of Sauron could shoot at Frodo while he was trying to climb out.
Yeah, this is like the Eye of Sauron on steroids.
So you first climb up, and this dude, he's massive, but he's also really far away. Like, and he's still massive from that far away.
Yeah.
And he is firing like these fireballs at you with great efficiency, and they absolutely wreck you if you get hit.
They suck.
And so you quickly find that there's some cover behind, and you're like, okay, well, I've got to work my way towards him. But it's more complicated than that, because there's like... There is only one path to take. It's not like you can dash from cover to cover. There is only one path, and you've got to find it. You've got to go across. There's many points where you have to fall down underneath and sort of run in a bit of safety for a bit. But then you've got to climb back out in points where he can shoot you. So you've got to quickly climb out of something and then roll immediately.
Across.
If he hits you once, you're basically dead. Like
They hurt. They really hurt.
It takes a lot of damage off you. I think about hard mode is a lot of these things... I didn't play on hard mode, but... I've heard a lot about hard mode is that a lot of these big hits just kill you in one hit. So, like, it would be basically, like, impossible to do a lot of these without taking any hits. So I'm assuming these fireballs would kill you in one shot. So you've got to work all the way around. There's a lot of climbing. There's a lot of diving underneath, as I said. There's a lot of, like, sidling along ledges and things. And you eventually get to him, and he has, like, a skirt made of rocks.
It's like a dress.
Yeah, he's wearing, like, a skirt. He's like... He looks like Herbois, actually.
Herbois?
If you know Herbois, Herbois is if you played
Smite.
Smite, you'll know who that is. But he's a god of
Water.
what pantheon is he? I can't remember. He's a god of some religion.
I think it's Chinese.
That might be Chinese. Yeah. He's sort of like that. Herbois has like a skirt made of water. It's like a whirlpool, but this is made of rock, and you have to climb all the way up, and it is far. So you get. I mean, it's not difficult, but it's far. No. And
the difficulty in this one comes from getting to the bloke, and that's about it. Him himself
this last bit
isn't too
irritated me bad.
Yeah?
All right. Think about all the things we've done so far, apart from the very last one. Let me explain to you the steps required to kill this guy. You get up to his, like, waist. You go to his back. There's a weak point. You stab it. He'll bring his left hand around behind his back. You have to leap backwards, which I really, like... My guy really struggles with leaping backwards. Unless you have the stick point in the perfect direction, he'll just leap upwards.
Controls are janky.
And you're not jumping across. Yeah, the controls, not the best here. So he'll bring his left hand around to your back. You got to jump back onto his hand. He'll bring it back around. You've got to then climb up around, because you're hanging upside down. You've got to climb up onto the top of his hand. He's trying to shake you off this whole time. Then you got to run up to his left bicep, stab him in the bicep. He'll bring his right hand over to be like, oh man, my bicep.
Yeah. Oof.
Then you got to jump across onto that hand, grab it. Then you got to climb over around on the top of that hand. There's no weak point here that I could see, but I had to Google this because I didn't know what to do from here. You have to just stab him in the back of the hand, even though there's no weak point to see, and that will cause him to hold his hand like flat for you because he's like looking at it like, oh man, my hand, it got stabbed. And then while he's steady, you pull out your bow, you shoot him in the left shoulder. Then,
oh, that's right.
Then he will immediately start moving his right hand. So you better hold on because you're standing on top of it. He'll immediately move his right hand over to the shoulder, and you've then got to run and leap onto his shoulders, and then you're finally in a position where you might get to start actually attacking this dude.
It's not difficult mechanically. No, I know, there's a lot of, but a lot of the steps are like linear. Like, okay, do this, stab, up. Like, there's no super puzzle you need to figure out or anything.
No, I mean, apart from the fact you have to stab him in that hand where there's no weak point.
Yeah,
there's no, because every other stab that you need to make, it shows your weak point. Like, it's obvious to you. The ones that are like critical weak points have like the full symbol. The ones that are minor weak points that cause him to do something else, they're like cracks. But he doesn't have either on his hand. So I was on his hand thinking, well, I don't know where to go from here. Maybe I can run up his his arm. Maybe I can jump across to his right shoulder, which is really far.
Yeah.
Like, so I had to Google that. And then, you've got to make that shot while he's like looking at his hand. You got to quickly grab on. There's a lot of stuff you have to do. It's not super complicated stuff, but yeah, it is a lot of stuff that has to be done. And if you miss, you're all the way back to the start. And sometimes you're worse than all the way back to the start because you fall halfway down his skirt and you have to climb that part again.
It's not hard though. In terms of spectacle, this is a fantastic final.
Yeah, it's a
Colossus.
The
this thing is huge. This thing is like the culmination.
Yeah, and you have to work hard because you're making all that distance across without him killing you, and then you got to get up him. Yeah. So you get onto the head, and he's this dude headbanging. Like he rocking out when you up there. He's making it hard. So you got to get a few stabs in, get back onto that, like his shoulder blades, so you don't get thrown off. And he's still trying to throw you off his shoulder blades, but there's enough space there you can sort of crouch and not lose too much stamina. So yeah, a few times through of that, and that's it. He's dead. You've finished it. You killed the last Colossus.
Game over?
Well, there has to be some resolution to this story, so we need our fourth cutscene of the game. Which is a long one. It's basically the whole rest of the game. Almost the whole rest of the game is a cutscene, technically. There is one point we get to play, but it's quite pointless to play. It's basically an extended cutscene. Yeah. So, Lord Aemon and his followers. You get hit by the final black tendrils.
Crap, yeah.
And you actually find out how he's got back, apparently. I didn't even notice this when I played it, but I saw that they said that, like, you see the first part of him, like, starting to float up and float towards the shrine again. So apparently he just slowly floats over there every time.
That's embarrassing.
So, like, they quickly cut to a loading screen, but he actually floats, like, 10 minutes back every time you've killed one. So Lord Aemon and his, like, 4 followers rock up in this area that you're in, the temple, just to see the last statue, because every time you go back to the shrine, the statue breaks, the one that you've killed. Yeah. So the last statue breaks, and they're like, oh my god, something's happening, oh my god. So then you appear, Wanda appears, and he's like, I didn't notice this, but throughout the game, so each one you kill gives you more stamina, but throughout the game you also get more and more sickly. You start getting white, you start getting like, like bloodshotty sort of
disgusting
eyes and skin. Yeah. And right near the end, you grow horns. And at this point, you have horns. And you're you're still out, like you always are. And I think, do you have the shadow dudes around you?
I think they're
like you normally do. Yeah, they're all surrounding you. So they're like, oh my god, Lord Aemon and these guys like, oh my god, kill this dude. So they run over to try and kill you. I think they kill the shadow monsters, but they try and get you, and you like push them out like with your force powers that you've got somehow. And then basically they reveal the whole plot of this thing, which is really, the plot is that you're not the hero at all.
No.
The playable character is not the hero at all of this game. Wander is not a hero. He stole this sword. He came here to save this girl. But in doing so, he's released Dorman, which was the thing in the sky, but is actually a massive shadow demon thing. So what happened was he was locked away inside, pieces of him inside of each of these Colossus, which are the black tendrils. So each time you kill one, the tendrils go in you, and eventually he reforms inside Wanda.
Yeah. You become...
And you become him. So you grow into this massive black demon thing, and I thought you just murder everyone.
Yeah.
But you don't. You don't murder everyone. You try.
don't?
I didn't. I slammed a few guys, and they didn't. They seem to be fine.
I feel like I killed them.
Well, you can't kill them all.
Can't you?
Well, I don't think so, because otherwise the game wouldn't end. Like how it normally does.
Yeah, I suppose.
So I slammed a few, and they didn't seem to die because I feel like he only had 4 with him, and they all seemed to get away to me. But the thing is, you don't really know the controls for this dude either. So you have a really slow slam, like a Colossus fist slam. On triangle, you also have fire breath.
I was going to say fire breath. I thought fire breath.
Fire breath. But I didn't activate fire. The thing is, you move really slow with fire breath, and I didn't activate fire breath until they'd almost got away. So I was just slowly flaming the air 20 meters in front of them. So they leg it. You slam them for a bit, but they don't seem to die to me. I mean, maybe you can kill some of the regular troops. You definitely can't kill Lord Aemon.
No.
So they leg it out of the area and run back up. And he has taken the sword, Lord Aemon, from where Wanda's corpse used to be. And he throws it into this pool that's at the entrance to the area. And it's sort of like spawned, stereotypical vortex, blue light vortex. And then they give you... And it strips away all the shadow that's there until you're just a shadow the size of your regular person that you used to be throughout the whole game. Yeah. And then they let you play.
Yeah.
Which I liked. Because, when I play, I like to play in character. So even though I found out I was just the villain, I'm still want to save this chick. And it shows you a quick shot of the girl, and then it takes it to you. And so you're legging it, you're trying to run, and this thing's pulling you back, and you run for a couple of steps, and then it flips you backwards.
Yeah.
And then you get to the stairs, and I tried to run to the side, so I would get caught by the wall. You get caught by the wall, and you're in the corner, but it's still pulling you. You get to the stairs, and you grab onto the stairs, and it's pulling you, sucking you in, your legs are flying, and you're slowly running out of stamina. Just to make it more dramatic, I let go of one of the stairs and then grab the next stair.
Oh, no.
2 or 3 stairs up, grab that stair, and I'm floating and I'm running out of stamina, and eventually you're out of stamina and you get sucked in and you're dead, basically.
And that's real. That's the culmination of
and then
game.
Then the credits roll. Do they, or they roll after the next bit? I think the credits roll here. They start to roll here.
I think so.
But the credits are overlaid on top of the following cutscenes. So, things that are happening. Number 1, Lord Aemon and his followers are riding across... Which makes me think you can't kill any of them, because this would be a predetermined number of them.
There is some trophy for doing something with them. I'll have to
I know there is... I don't know how I didn't get this, but there is a trophy for surviving more than 1 minute when you're getting sucked in. I know that. Apparently. There's a trophy... I feel like I did that because I used all my stamina, but I didn't notice the trophy pop. But... apparently there is a trophy for that. But so, the things that are happening. This Lord Aemon is riding across the bridge with his followers, and for some reason it's breaking behind them. They don't really... They set some TNT on the way past.
Yeah, TNT exists in this universe.
Yeah, definitely. They set a couple of C4.
Why didn't we use TNT on the Colossus?
Because sword. It can only be killed by sword.
Oh.
So they're legging it. The bridge is breaking behind them. I thought everyone was going to fall down except for him, but they all make it. The last one, it's because of the way the poles are, one pole would fall in the section just as the last dude made it across. So it was super dramatic.
Yeah.
Last thing that happens, and this one's a bit confusing, is Mono wakes up.
Yes.
So obviously that was what was promised to you at the start of the game, but obviously the fact that it was revealed that the dude you made a deal with is a devil that was just trying to get free.
Yeah.
You'd think he wouldn't actually still save her, but he does.
Not all demons have no morals.
So he saves her just in time to see Aggro, who's rocked back up. He survived his, 500-foot fall into a bottomless ravine.
What a prick.
He's got a limp on one leg.
He should be dead after all.
He should be. So he limps into the area, and then they walk to the back of the room, and in the pool where you got sucked in, there is a baby with horns, which presumably is Wanda reincarnated as a baby.
I don't know what the hell it is, but like we said near the start, this is our Ico.
Yes. So this is the Ico tie-in. So number one, Ico, the actual person, has horns. So the idea is potentially that Mono and Wanda grows up or something, and then they obviously repopulate this area.
Yeah.
And sort of there's, over time, Wanda would die, but because she's been resurrected, she would live on. And eventually they'd forget about him, and that's why the horns are seen as like a freak show thing in Ico. And the other thing is the villain in that game is like the Queen or something, and she has, as much as a PS2 person can, has a bit of a resemblance to Mono. So that's why they're saying that maybe Mono lives on to become a villain. Like, she lives forever, and all these generations on, she becomes the villain and has to fight Ico. That's the rumour anyway. So, yeah, that's the connection. So, and then basically the final scenes are... There's some talking from Eamon about, like, he hopes Wanda can find redemption or something, which is set up for the fact that you become a baby.
Yeah.
And they sort of just climb up onto the top of this tower, which you can get to in-game, apparently, but you need, like...
Yeah, you
need so much stamina, it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I saw that you have to complete the game multiple times to do it. So I assume that means just like doing New Game Plus, because I assume if you do a new game, it would just start you back at the start.
Yeah, you got to do New Game Plus.
So you got to finish New Game Plus as well. And yeah, you climb up on this sort of garden on the top, and there's a deer, because somehow animals are finally there. There was birds, but like, it's the first animal you've seen apart from Colossi.
And lizards, mate.
Yeah, I didn't see any lizards. I don't believe they exist. Lizards are a myth. Fake news.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, so... And that's basically the end. Like, then we go to the final black credits. Yeah. So Aggro and Mono and the baby Wanda are living on the top of this shrine. And Dorman is sealed again.
Yeah.
Now, an interesting note on Dorman that I didn't put in the history section because it was a spoiler.
It's Nimrod.
King Nimrod is a biblical king whose body was cut up and split into different places. And Dorman is obviously the reverse of that, backwards. So, yeah, I mean, maybe it was more subtle in Japanese when they originally named it, but who knows? Some of these things get lost in translation. So that's the end. Like,
So all your story is given at the start of the game, and then the end of the game.
I mean, there was almost more story pre-main menu than there was in the actual body of the game. So there's 4 cutscenes. There's a starting cutscene. There's Eamon rocks up. Not that much happens. There's Aggro dies. Not that much happens. And then there's the final cutscene, which is like, to be fair, 15-ish minutes probably to get through that final sequence.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean...
From the moment you kill that last guy...
If you're real pedantic, you could say, every time you kill a Colossus, there's a cutscene to show you the next one. But
yeah, that's not... Yeah.
Yeah. There's no... As far as story progression goes, it's here's your stuff at the start. Oh, go kill everyone. Oh, you did it? Congrats. Here's your stuff at the end.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying right at the beginning when I said it's like Super Mario game. Thematically, completely different. In terms of structurally, it's the same thing. A goal is set out for you. You complete that goal, you are finished.
Yeah.
Whereas modern storytelling usually has more layers to that.
Yeah.
Not that that's necessarily means that this is bad. Just that it's not as heavy on story as it maybe could be. Like, the story elements that are in there are really interesting, I think. Like, the world that it's built in only 4 cutscenes is, like, quite fascinating. But there's just not enough. I mean, and the way that they've set it out, as you said before, there's not really much more they could do if they wanted to keep this world the way it is.
That's the thing.
Yeah, I mean, like, the best I can think of is maybe flashbacks of him talking to her about, like, basically recounting exposition about what's happened in the past, because no one knows why she was dead. There's she was sacrificed for something.
You could give exposition as to why she's been sacrificed,
how he stole the sword. See, because that could be
Dorman.
I mean, you get this sense of, as I said, a sense of unease as you kill these Colossus, that maybe you aren't the hero, which you find out at the end. But you could reveal that more slowly by slowly revealing the plot that's led up to this point. And, like, I'm not saying that would be better. I'm just... that's something they could have done.
It's still fine.
Yeah.
But...
This is stuff that you don't feel like... I didn't feel like I knew all this stuff until I started researching more about the plot.
Yeah.
Like, it's sort of, there's maybe 30 lines of dialogue maybe in the game. If you take out Dorman telling you what the next Colossus is, there's maybe 30 lines of dialogue, and it's like to pack all that information in. It doesn't always come across.
It's still...
Yeah, I got no problems with it, but...
I think if you were to make it more exposition heavy, it would... it'd be more of a story game, but I feel like it becomes, at that point, more of a game. I think the beauty of this game is the vistas.
Yeah,
it's the spectacle. It's something you look at and something you appreciate for what it is visually, more so than what it is as a storytelling medium, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I don't understand art very much, but this is as close as you can be to gaming as an art.
Yeah.
This is a work that what's his name, Fumito Ueda, and the rest of the team have put together, and this is his vision, and he's created something to be appreciated, and it's not exactly how everyone else has done it, and so there's something unique about that. Now, did I love it? No, I didn't love it. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
So let's move on to ratings, I guess. Okay. I'm going to give it 6. That's the best I can. Best I can give it is 6 out of 10.
6 or
7. For
7.
my personal enjoyment of it, 6 out of 10. Maybe in 2005, I would have given it 8 out of 10.
I'd give it like 0.7 out of 1 missed horse jumps, or like 11 out of 16 shadows of the Colossus. Either or. It's around like a 6-7 mark for me.
Yeah. We're sort of in the same place.
The controls are really the killer.
Are bad.
It is difficult to play.
I did look at Metacritic, which
people love this game.
The original 2005 got 91%
people
on
love
Metacritic,
this game.
and that was despite apparently terrible frame rate and terrible controls. So. I don't want to be... That was the 11th highest of the year. That was only the 11th highest of the year. So
nice. What else came out?
That's what I want to say is... I've watched a few other sort of, gaming reviewy type things where a lot of people think that at this time, people were quite generous in reviewing games.
Yeah.
Not to say that this doesn't deserve 91, but for it to be the 11th highest game of 2005, I don't think there were 11 games that were better than 90% in 2005. I don't know what came out in 2005.
What else came out in 2005?
This is an era where, you see a lot of reviews. Like, I watch a show, a review show where they play terrible games, and you'll see people go, yeah, this game was okay. I mean, pretty average at best, 80%. And it's like, so not to say that, this didn't deserve 91%, because, I wasn't playing it in 2005 and understanding what it meant at that time. But it's possible that they were a little bit generous. So IGN gave this 97%.
Yeah, that's nuts.
An absolute must-have title is their quote. GameSpot, 87%. The game's aesthetic presentation is unparalleled by any standard. Now, this is the 2005 graphics, I guess, probably were unparalleled by any standard, or I don't know about that.
You don't see anything with, 90s...
No,
anymore.
things struggle to get 90s these days.
People hate games nowadays.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So I think...
Call of Duty 2 came out in 2005.
Yeah, did it get more than 91%?
Not sure. What else? Psychonauts, apparently, which is meant to be good. Lego Star Wars, the video game. So, Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, these are good games, but, as I said, I think this was a time where people were, giving A for effort on everyone. So, you get a free 20% for effort because video games were still an emerging medium in 2005. I think we're almost at the peak today of what video games are going to be.
I think...
If you want to make it near photorealistic, you can. If you want to make it near audio realistic, you can. It
can't really get much better. Immersion is arguably the only thing you could lean into more. Some way to make VR better than what VR is the best you can do in gaming. And at this point, people were still excited. They were still like, man, this is so much better than Space Invaders. This is so much better than Pong. Oh my god, 91%.
Yeah, I think there's a bit of a scale where I'd say I don't know what I didn't actually check what the new one got.
I was just going to say,
look what the new one got.
I'd be interested to
But
see how,
I would guess it got similar because of the nostalgia factor.
because they remastered it for PS3 and PS4.
Yes, they remastered it once for PS3 and then for PS4. Oh, I should mention that Bluepoint, not Team Ico, did the remasters of both these games. They didn't change anything mechanically. They just redid all the textures. But yeah, it wasn't Team Ico that did it.
Yeah,
So-
it's still getting.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
nines.
I think it's a bit of a nostalgia factor. Like the fact is, the new one is better than the old one just because it's graphically better, and the rest is the same. And the frame rate is locked at whatever 30 or whatever they've got it at. But I think there's a heavy amount of nostalgia there, and I don't know. Like, I personally don't see 91% or 90%. 9 out of 10 or whatever people are giving it.
No, I don't think it's that good. It's a good game.
Yeah,
sure,
and I think
but I don't think it's that good.
we're sitting here now saying this is games as art. Back then, people probably didn't even think games could be art.
No, back then it's a hobby.
That's why it's such a big step, I guess. Cause
And it's part of the, I wouldn't call this an indie game by any means, but it's part of the reason I love indie games so much, because they let you, there's no pressure to be this monumental game. Like, you're never gonna get a Call of Duty that's like, emotional and makes you think about themes and stuff.
yeah,
really.
I mean, you get story moments in some Call of Duties, but not like nothing to this level.
Indie games and games similar to this give you a chance to explore different themes and like let you experiment with art styles and open worlds and create new things. Yeah, whereas something like, even story games, big story games are emotional and stuff. Something like Halo is a fantastic story, like we talked about.
Last of Us.
Yeah,
Great story.
They exist, but I think there's still the pressure to, like, at the end of the day, it's a first-person shooter. You have to lean more into the
these
gameplay
games have a
aspect
structure.
of it.
Like big games these days have a structure. Now there might be different molds that you can be in. You can be a multiplayer, whatever. You can be an open world. You can be a linear experience. But there's sort of a mold that you have to fit. And it's similar to what I was saying about Outer Wilds in our first episode. Is that these are the type of games that push the medium and change things. And I'm sure this was a game like that in 2005. Today, it's not as much, but it still stands as something that really you don't see much like it still. Like, it's still a rarity.
I think part of the beauty of games as a whole is that there is so much diversity in what it is.
Yeah, what can be done?
I've always described games as like playable books in a sense. I like you get to explore these worlds. Books are like fantastic. You can still be a part of this world, but games are like you're there. You're immersed. Yeah. And I think for that and Shadow of the Colossus is fantastic at putting you in the world, but the story leaves something to be desired. That's my story and controls are my only issues.
Yeah, again, it bears repeating that the story's not bad. It's just not there enough to, it's not a 6-hour game story. There's only a few plot points to be done. Those plot points are good, and I thought the twist was something that you don't normally see that much, which is the hero is actually the villain.
It's a game bookended by story aspects, as opposed to a game with story interweaved. Yeah.
All right. So, I think it's about time to wrap up. We've gone 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Christ, this is a big
This is the longest one. So, I said it at the end of the history section, which was about an hour and a half ago at this point. But we will be having another episode out in 2 weeks. This is the first of our 3-episode launch. So in 2 weeks' time, you will be seeing Firewatch. Well, you won't be seeing it. You'll be hearing it through your ears because we are a podcast. And Firewatch, I believe it's by... I can't remember who it's by. I've forgotten now.
I want to say
we will come up with
it.
Not. It is... No, that's their publisher.
Yeah.
It is on Xbox. It is on PlayStation 4. It is probably on PC. I can't tell you for sure, but I would assume it's on PC if you want to play it first. It's only about 3 hours, but it is it's very much, and I'll say this next week, it's very much the opposite of this game in terms of
Structure.
It is all story, and the gameplay is mediocre. It's a walking sim, but that doesn't make it bad. Like, just as the fact that this is a puzzle game with limited story doesn't make it bad. It's just different take. So we're going to be playing that next week. Please, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, all these places that things are. Like the podcast, comment, do all that stuff. And I've been Matthew.
And I've been Ben.
And this has been the Pass Play Podcast, and we will talk to you again next time.